Hughes. Good morning, Greg.
Brilliant. Whitney Houston. We went up and watched a tribute act to Whitney Houston up in the Millennium.
You were singing
Very
so
good.
many great songs, isn't it?
100%. Every song's a hit.
Yeah, Bodyguard was a good film. Do you remember her? Bodyguard was good. What do you call him?
I only watched that relatively recently, actually. He was in...
Kevin Costner, wasn't it?
Kevin Costner, yeah, that's it.
That was a good show, wasn't it?
Aye.
Not a bad show.
There's a good challenge there whereby, do you know that song, I Will Always Love You? Do you know how there's a big pause and then you bang it?
You head it out.
Yeah,
That's
but you have to time the bang.
The bang.
You could do that on the radio.
Could you do that? Time the bang? Let's time the bang. I'll let you go first. I bet you have a well-timed the bang.
Because there's dead silence, so...
You got to hit the gnome.
Yeah.
See, timing... Where you come in, you phrase it the bang, right? That would be easy, but hitting the note would be a different thing. Not too many.
No, it's the drum bang. It's the boom. And it's that.
No, that's boom. I Will Always Love You, is it?
That was also in The Bodyguard, yeah.
All right, that's the song you're on about. Yeah, if you missed time that downbeat, you're in the bin. Right, come here.
Lee, will you tell the truth now? Were you saying that me and you should try and do an AI song for Christmas? You never really
don't say that in front of Donald Cameron. Yeah. He'll be looking down on us.
That's so silly.
He'll get the heebie-jeebies. No,
you come up with some silly ideas.
Well, sure, I'm a silly Billy. Well, not all the time.
What would be the function of that, though? There's no...
But me and you retire early.
Well, don't worry.
Hop on the cruise ship with Donald
Project
Kavanagh.
2035 is very much in motion.
Is it? Yeah. What is it?
I'm not going to work after 35.
When you're 30, you're 35. How many years ago was that? That's 10 years time.
2035, yeah. Project 2035.
10 years from now, right? God,
time.
Let's live in the moment, hey?
All right, yeah, exactly.
Good luck to you.
10 years. Look after yourself, Lee. It's the 9 till noon show. We have a very busy, interesting show for you, as we always do. But first, let's get a news update at 9 o'clock and cross over now to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Garda Commissioner Justin Kelly has promised to follow up after concerns were raised at an Oireachtas committee about exchanges between a local councillor in Donegal and a Garda superintendent in the west of the county. At the Oireachtas Committee on Justice, Home Affairs and Migration, Deputy Pearse Doherty told the Commission that Councillor Brian Carr had raised a series of questions about policing in Glenties and Ardra, including concerns about a lack of Gardaí being forced to use their own vehicles on official business, and Gardaí being redeployed out of the area to Ballyshannon and Donegal town at short notice. He said the initial response was to ask about the source of the queries, and the follow-up was not to comment for operational reasons. Deputy Doherty told the Commissioner this simply isn't acceptable.
His questions reflected the consistent reports from members of the public, local representatives and community groups. The response back was to inform him of the times that the Glenty station remains open, and says that none of the other questions can be answered for operational reasons. Now that is shocking.
Obviously, I'm not in a position to comment in detail about the various things other than to share your disappointment. It certainly on the face of it does not at all seem to me to reach the standard of the response that political representative should have got.
And you can hear that full exchange between Deputy Doherty and the Commissioner on our website, highlandradio.com. A meeting of Glenties Municipal District has been told in the absence of a scheme for social homes affected by defective blocks, money for maintenance and other works is coming from the council's own funds. Councillor Dennis McGee told the meeting this is having a severe impact on Donegal County Council's housing budget and preventing or delaying other necessary works. He says the council must now write to Minister James Brown, reminding him that this crisis emerged as a result of government's light touch regulation.
The government yet again have failed us, have failed the social housing schemes in Donegal, have failed the people of Donegal, because this here is their responsibility. It should not be left that Donegal County Council has to take the money from their pot to fix what the government gave us.
Senior ministers will today sign off on the government's long-awaited housing plan. It's understood it'll be called Delivering Homes, Building Communities. There'll be a commitment to fund 12,000 social homes a year in a bid to tackle the homeless crisis, while an expanded use of compulsory purchase orders is also likely to feature. However, Berg Rogan from the Simon community doesn't believe it'll be all that radical.
I try to remain hopeful for the people accessing the Simon services across the country, and for anyone that's in, hidden homelessness or in insecure accommodation. There is that bit of pessimism that more could be done much, much quicker if the political bravery was there to stand up to the other lobby and interest groups.
People in the Cranford and Carrigart areas who were affected by a major burst on a trunk main yesterday have been warned by Uisce Air, and they're likely to get water supply disruptions again today. They say crews are on the ground trying to fix it as quickly as possible. However, there will be disruptions, including in some local schools. Uisce Air says Scoil Owen Borschte in Carrigart and Cranford National School are likely to be affected. And you'll be able to fill out the next census form online. It'll take place on May 9th, 2027, and take account of where people normally live rather than where they happen to be on the night of the census. And the weather forecast, Met Éireann tell us the cloud will build as the morning goes on, but it will stay mostly dry for the day. Isolated coastal showers, outbreaks of rain from the south will move in over the region by late evening. Top temperatures today 10 to 11 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. Back with news again at 10 o'clock. In the interim, check all the day's news, of course, on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
Are you finalising your festive favours? Contemplating your Christkindle contribution? The National Lottery have you sorted with some instant excitement for this gifting season. It's the Christmas Scratch Card range. There's festive riches, Christmas countdown, and merry money, otherwise known as the Christmas Trilogy. With over €7 million in prizes to be won instantly, this year's perfect gift might just be a Christmas scratch card. The National Lottery. It could be you. Gift responsibly.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to Wednesday's 9 till Noon Show. It's the 12th of November 2025 and it's 5 minutes past 9. Thanks so much for choosing us. We won't let you down. We've got 3 hours of cracking entertainment for you. We'll keep you up to date with all the very latest news. We'll have your views and, of course, as always, focusing on some special people, some special issues, as we always do. 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Those lines are open for you right now. If there's something that you wish to share with us, maybe there's a topic you believe we should be talking about, maybe you want to pass on some good news, whatever it might be, request, dedication, send them in too. We're more than happy to read them out for you a little later on. Or if you want to give us a call, those numbers never change, 07491 25,000. Or email comments at highlandradio.com. And you can watch this programme, of course, if you're at home on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, or if you have one of those smart screens, you can search us out on the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland. We're across Facebook and on the X platform as well. Let's have a run through some of the front and inside of the newspapers today. The local paper out today is the Finn Valley Voice, and it's expected that the government will soon announce that the 10T road network in East Donegal will become part of the National Development Plan, securing $1 billion in funding. The project will see the construction of 42 kilometres of road network between Letterkenny, Manacunningham, Milford and Ballabafay-Stranorlar bypass. This includes the Bonagee Link Bridge over River Swilly to ease traffic congestion in Letterkenny. Councillor Martin Harley said that it was a very important development for the Twin Towns and the future of the area. On to the Nationals now, and plenty of coverage, as there should be, of the inauguration of President Catherine Connolly. She yesterday became the 10th President of Ireland and vowed to ensure all voices are represented and valued. At the lavish inauguration ceremony at Dublin Castle, the new President edged to the limitations of the role by speaking on housing, neutrality, climate change and war, key issues which resonate with her voters. In acknowledging that, like her predecessors, she was beginning her term in a significant point in history, Ms Connolly spoke of her campaign as the emergence of hope. The President said her team were at first viewed as too far out, too left, too much at odds with the prevailing narrative. It became evident that the dominant narrative did not reflect or represent people's values and concerns, she added. Time and time again, people spoke of how it served to silence, to other, to label, to exclude and to stifle critical thinking. However, with meaningful engagement, we saw the emergence of hope, the emergence of joy, along with the courage and determination of people to use their voices to shape a country that we can be proud of, which is quite interesting. It's not exactly how I would have framed the presidential campaign and perhaps the reason why people voted, but I'm not the president. Catherine Connolly is. And, excuse me. Excuse me, we'll watch on. On to the Irish Independent now. And highly paid Fine Gael government spin doctors got €2,000 gifts for volunteering for the last general election campaign, while some low-level party staff got just €500. Simon Harris's party paid a gift voucher to ministerial advisors, many on six-figure salaries, who worked on the party campaign last November. Fine Gael says, imagine being a press advisor for Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, whoever it might be, and to be on six figures and then to be getting wee bonuses of $2,000 or $1,000. It's amazing. Fine Gael says the payment was a token of appreciation and contribution towards their out-of-pocket expenses, but some junior staff felt aggrieved when they discovered they were shortchanged. A group of ministers, spin doctors and TD's assistants weighed in on last November's campaign by taking holidays from their department jobs. Government advisors are allowed to work on party campaigns providing they take annual leave and continue to be paid by their departments, but as it turns out too, you can get around that a little bit by giving them €1,000 gift vouchers. Not so bad, is it? On to the Irish Times now, and a bit of a sensitive subject for younger ears because it involves watching adult material, but I'll be as careful as I can. But I think it's perhaps significant significant enough to read. An increasing number of men are seeking treatment for addiction to watching adult material, which has resulted in carnage in their personal lives and relationships, a treatment service lead has said. Professor Colin O'Gara, head of addiction services at St John's of God Hospital in Dublin, said he received several referrals a week for compulsive adult material watching, a trend that he said has 100% changed in the last year. The trend is mostly among men, with 80% of referrals in this cohort, he said. Professor O'Gara, who is a clinical professor of psychiatry at University College Dublin, said compulsive use of adult material is a substantial issue because so much of the internet is dominated by it. If you increase access to any process or substance, the end harm generally increases. This is persistent with the behaviour in face of adverse consequences, Professor O'Gara said. So, I don't know what people must be doing to the point where they require a referral, but he says that he's getting several referrals every single week because of people being obsessed or constantly watching this stuff on the internet. 086 60 25,000. I wonder what the consequences of that. How does it manifest itself? How does it impact on someone's life or the lives around them? I'm not sure. I don't know. But if anyone wants to talk about that, let me know. 086 60 25,000. The Irish Daily Star this morning. An Irish model has spoken about the terrifying moment that she suffered a stroke while boxing training, revealing that she managed to catch it on video. Now, I don't mean this in any way disparaging, but influencers and models seem to video everything that they do in the gym. So I'm not surprised that she caught this, but she's only 30, right? So it's just important for all people of all ages to be conscious that to look out for signs. Limerick woman Shauna Lindsay opened up to her followers last week about the scary moment she suffered a stroke in the gym while sparring with a trainer and has urged fans on social media to go to the hospital if they experience any symptoms. In a new post, the 30-year-old shared the scary moment she suffered the stroke, pinpointing the moment her arm and her face went numb. Trigger warnings for anyone who's actually had a stroke. My heart rate was going so fast just editing this. It might not look like much is happening, but it's mad what can be going on inside your body that we've no idea about. I can't tell you how scary this moment was, sharing for educational curiosity purposes. So, as I say, just 30 years of age, fit as a fiddle, but happened to catch herself whilst boxing, having that stroke live effectively. And finally, Kevin Backhurst has not been in the job long in RTE, but apparently, I can't see this happening, but apparently he's a potential replacement for the BBC Director General's job. This amid the crisis at the British broadcaster. Outgoing DG Tim Davie yesterday admitted the BBC made some mistakes that have cost us, as he outlined his reasons for quitting the embattled corporation. Davie addressed BBC employees in an all-staff call and acknowledged a blunder in how the Panorama programme edited a key 2021 Donald Trump speech. I played this out for you. It was completely butchered to make it sound like the president had directly called people to go up and fight. Well, the corporation is at the centre of a storm, with the US president setting a Friday deadline for a full retraction and apology from them, or face a $1 billion legal action. And what they've missed out in this is also looking for some a financial offer as well, which puts the BBC in a very, very sticky wicket because, you know, for a national broadcaster of another country to agree an apology, a full retraction, but also offer money, taxpayers' money, would be huge. It would be huge. But if they don't, Trump will sue. He's not one of these persons that just throws around threats. He follows through on them. Trump made the legal threat after it emerged that Panorama aired a misleading edit of Trump appearing to explicitly encourage violence in the hours before the January 6th Capitol Hill riot. But there's other stuff going on there. Bias towards transgenderism is a key issue as well. Some journalists were cut out of certain stories as it relates to transgenderism, and a small group of journalists were responsible for that. And there were stories that were, creating a very positive scenario around it, while other controversial stories were being buried or not covered at all, even though they were headlines. So that's only part of it, just the Trump stuff. There's other stuff that's been going on there as well in terms of impartiality, etc. All right, that was a run through some of the papers and some of the headlines. We'll be back with more shortly.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
If you're looking for furniture that turns heads, at Foy's and Ballybuffet in Letterkenny, we're more than a furniture store. We're your style destination. From elegant sofas to eye-catching lighting, luxurious beds to statement wall art, we offer the largest range of quality furniture and home decor in the Northwest. Every piece is selected for quality, comfort and timeless design. Check out our socials for exclusive offers and inspiration. Foy's, where great interiors begin.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
It's Boots' biggest ever Black Friday with huge savings on thousands of beauty must-haves, including better than half price on star gifts like No. 7, Lancome, MAC and many more. Don't miss out, shop now. And don't forget your Boots Advantage card. Selected stores and products subject to availability. Offer ends 24th December. Advantage card T's and C's apply.
The local name for insurance you can trust is Hickey, Clark and Langan. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price every time. Home, car or van, farm, commercial or public liability. Whatever you need, they're there to help. Drop into Ballymacool, Letterkenny or call 9126688. Hickey, Clark and Langan, saving you time, money and hassle. Hickey, Clark and Langan is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Do you know Clare Clothing, Letterkenny, has moved to 54 Upper Main Street, right beside Brian McCormick's? And we are now exclusive stockists of Bugatti women's wear at Clare Clothing, Upper Main Street, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time now is approaching 18 minutes past 9. Now, as you can imagine, we've been talking extensively about road improvements, road works in and around Letterkenny. It's been ongoing in one form or another for many years now. But a lot of people obviously are concerned about getting to their work, getting to school, getting to hospital appointments, etc. But a lot of you do contact the show on a regular basis, concerned, having seen ambulances caught in traffic or what have you. So we thought we'd go straight to the ambulance service to find out their views on it, what level of consultation, concern or otherwise there may be. And John Joe McGowan is General Manager Operations for the National Ambulance Service for the West and North West, and he joins us again on the show. John Joe, thanks so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you.
Right, I suppose might go back to the 4 lanes, if you don't mind, because the last time, or one of the last times I was speaking to you, we were talking about the difficulty with emergency services getting through the 4 lanes, and there were proposals in place to address that. So what were the proposals, and has that action been taken?
Yeah, so Greg, the problem, I suppose, in relation to the context of traffic, we can get through traffic generally well with blue lights and sirens if we have what we call wriggle room. And that technically means if the vehicle in front of us moves a little bit to the left and the vehicle approaching us moves a little bit to the right, we get up the centre and wriggle through traffic, for want of a better way of describing it. The problem with the 4 lanes is there's high-sided curbs to the left and high-sided curbs to the right, so vehicles don't get to move that slight little piece to allow us to negotiate the traffic through the centre. What we did propose to the council at the time, we understand the 4 lanes has progressed, is completed, and what we've proposed to the council since is that we use the piece from the Cullion Road entrance into the roundabout, that we drop the curbs at that point, the whole way from the Cullion Road to the Polestar roundabout. That will allow us in peak time traffics, and this generally only happens in peak time traffics, that will allow us divert ambulances down the Cullion Road and into that roundabout, where then the cars can move left and right to allow us that wriggle room through the centre and on into the roundabout and through the roundabout.
And has that work been done yet? Have those proposals been accepted?
We're still in negotiations with the council in relation to that piece of the project, and they've come back to us last week just in relation to looking to meet again to further that plan or to further discuss that them works, but it hasn't happened as of yet.
Is it moving with the urgency that you would like to see it move, given the fact that, potentially lives are at stake?
Look, it's a complex situation because the bridge sits in between, so it's a difficult piece to get moving. It is moving, and we're in constant negotiations with the council in relation to it, and hopefully, if not to the end of this year, but very early next year, we'll have good traction with the council in relation to it.
And not that it's up to the ambulance service that aren't road engineers, but are you surprised that this wasn't flagged whilst the project was in planning or indeed construction?
Look, hindsight's a great thing, but yeah, so say for instance, we've learned a lot from the 4 lanes project. The new project that forms part of our discussions here this morning, the hospital roundabout to the Mountain Top project, we've had extensive discussions with them in relation to that project from very early on. We're probably in discussions with engineers who have worked really well with us on that project for about a year now, and we've learned our lessons, or the lessons have been learned from the 4 lanes project, and we've brought improvements into the hospital roundabout to the Mountain Top project from that.
And how will ambulances, emergency services generally be better accommodated now as part of these active travel works outside the hospital?
Yeah, so in relation to the hospital works, there's 2 pieces in relation to that. So the overall project as a whole and the completion and what it'll look like when it's finished is the first piece. And that means that, as we said, we've done mock-ups with the council in the council yard across from the council building there beside the Polestar. And what we've asked for is we have a drop curb on the left-hand side of the road and a drop curb on the right-hand side of the road that will allow traffic, and there's a hatch box that's structurally sound enough to take the weight of a vehicle on each side, and that allows the cars move off to the left and move off to the right to allow us that wriggle room coming up and down that mountaintop road.
Mm.
We have mock-ups of it done down on the council building. We've also graphics of it done, and I might see if we can share them graphics with you later today in relation to that. And the other piece on that is, if you remember years ago, coming down Lurgy Brack, there was the lorry lane for the lorries that had failed brakes on the left-hand side, and there was a huge media campaign around that at the time. We're going to do similar for the mountaintop, the hospital to the mountaintop road, to put a media campaign out prior to the completion of the works to show people what to do in the event of an emergency vehicle, Gardaí, fire or ambulance, coming across them on that section of the road.
Yeah, you might be aware that they have now decided that the plans maybe aren't fantastic and they are going to potentially reinstate a right turning lane, at least for St. Connell's and maybe other businesses. Will you need to re-engage with the council, or have you re-engaged with the council with those plans seemingly being changed mid-construction?
Yeah, so in fairness to the council and our management team on the ground there, our operational management team on the ground for the ambulance service in Letterkenny, they're in constant engagement in relation to this project. They've gone as far as they have a WhatsApp group between the council, our operational team, and the Gardaí, the fire, and the contractor on site in relation to the works, changes on the works, where the works are at and where the works are progressing to. So there's constant engagement ongoing there in relation to them works as they progress through.
And I suppose, you know, obviously no one likes to see an ambulance sitting in traffic, and it can be quite alarming. I'm not sure how common or uncommon it is, but as General Manager of Operations for the National Ambulance Service, you're in the position to know, you know, are these works going to compromise the speed in which your crews can respond or get people to the hospital?
Yeah, so just in relation to how common it is, if we take, for instance, last Tuesday between 6:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening, we had 9 outbound journeys from either Letterkenny Hospital or the ambulance base in Letterkenny under blue lights, and we had 4 inbound journeys for that period of time. Now, in saying that, where the crux of the problem is in peak hour traffic, so you're chatting during that time probably 5 to 6 or 4:30 even to 6 in the evening, and probably at this stage it's nearly 7 to 9 or 9:30 in the morning. They're the key periods of time. So no, we're confident now. We met with the council again yesterday in relation to it, given the publicity that it received, and we've put a few tweaks in relation to when the works are ongoing. So we're confident in relation to the proposals for when the works finish. Where we're a bit dubious is in relation to when the works are ongoing. So we met with the council yesterday in relation to that, and we've come up with a number of further enhancements to the scheme there to try and alleviate the pressures that we're seeing. The first of them is the current works has been done in sections, and they're 300-metre sections. We're asking the council and the contractors to reduce that down to 150-metre sections. We don't know is that possible yet, because as the smaller they reduce it, the longer the time frame is put out in relation to the works. So that's the first thing. We've asked them to reduce that section that they're working on down to 150 metres. The second piece is that we're doing a communication to our teams today to say that anything that's coming in or going out in peak times, that they come in via the Knocknamona roundabout. So if you're coming from Bonnegee, you would come in the 4 lanes across Ballyrain, up the road at the Unify roundabout, into the Knocknamona roundabout, and back down into the hospital. And going out, you would go out the same way. And further to that, and that's not possible for all inward or outward journeys. Take, for instance, if we're coming from the lower Main Street or Churchill direction, etc. So what we're asking there, and the council have agreed to it, is that there will be, during peak times, there will be, for want of a better word, a point man on for the works that we can contact when we're coming in with a blue light resource run that'll be able to direct the traffic, and they'll prior a notice of us coming in that road prior to that. And the last piece in relation to that is the road, to allow the first point happen, the roadworks are only currently up to the ambulance base entrance. So that allows us to come into the hospital via Knocknamona and exit the ambulance base via Knocknamona and out and down the new road there into the Unify roundabout.
Okay, interesting. And I think it's encouraging, John Joe, to see the level of consultation that is happening now, and lessons potentially have been learned. Unless there's anything else you want to add, that's all my questions. And of course, anything we can do in terms of getting the message out as to what to do in the event of an emergency vehicle under these new roads, obviously we'll be there. But thanks for now, John Joe.
No worries. Thank you, Greg.
All right, bye-bye. That's John Joe McGowan there. So in terms of the work at the 4 lanes, that may happen early next year. John Joe McGowan and other interested parties are in constant engagement with the contractor, with the council, in terms of making sure that access is that the access is accessible as is possible. A caller says, what about lorries? If you meet 2 on each side of the road, they are big vehicles. Will there be room to pass in the middle? When you have hospitals that are in urban areas, there's always scenarios that are going to be problematic. I don't think you could ever have a road wide enough in a town consistently that would accommodate 2 lorries and an ambulance, you know. But lorry drivers, they see far in front and far behind, and I would say it's very rare that it's they that might hold things up. On a separate issue, flooding. Hi, Greg. I was hoping you could highlight an ongoing issue with a large amount of flood water on the Trenta-Tacoma-Crennan Main Road just before the church. The water's lying on the road for several weeks now. When it's really bad, cars just simply can't go through it. Hopefully something will get sorted shortly. Thanks, Greg. So that's flooding on the Trenta-Tacoma-Crennan Road. I wonder, did I go through that myself not so long ago? I think I may have, you know. It shouldn't be too hard to let that water away, but you have to let the council know these things as well. The one thing the council has, amongst other things, is a fantastic roads crew, and I've no doubt that if they were aware of this, the Trenta-Tacoma-Crennan Main Road just before the church, that they'd be out in no time and clear whatever blockage is leaving the water to lie there. So hopefully maybe someone's listening or someone will report that, and that can be resolved. It's been like that for a number of weeks, and I'm sure it can be resolved relatively quickly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Looking for a nearly new 2025 model without the new car price? At iMotors, our demo and nearly new cars have little to no mileage, and you'll save thousands versus the new price. Fantastic cars, fantastic savings. Visit imotors.ie or drop by today and drive away a deal you'll love. iMotors, fearless generation.
AI isn't just for tech experts, it's for all. With Skills to Advance, turn curiosity into capability through artificial intelligence microqualifications. Upskill your team to use AI responsibly, to work more productively, innovate safely, and boost your business with confidence. Talk to your local education and training board today or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance, supported by Solus and the Government of Ireland.
Everybody has the right to be heard. If a person has a challenge with communication or decision making, there are many ways to enable their voice, such as meeting in person, using assistive technology, or together with their appointed decision supporter.
Respecting rights is a responsibility of all services, and it's the law.
My voice is my right. Assisted decision-making law means I decide.
Safeguardingday.ie from Safeguarding Ireland and the HSE.
When it's gone, it's gone. This week's new wigging at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are all half price. Save €30 on 1,000 LED cluster lights and save an amazing €50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
He'd be outside the kitchen window with a big smile on his face, looking for help to stand in the gap.
Eamon's son, Ben, died by suicide in 2021. Even good memories can be hard to share, but Embrace Farm is here to listen, supporting farm families in Ireland every step of the way after a serious injury or sudden death. Visit embracefarm.com or ring us at 085 770 9966 to tell us your story.
Now, you may have heard or read new figures obtained by RTE show that up to August of this year, children in Dublin were waiting up to 13 years to be seen by a primary care psychologist. Now, the primary care psychologist service is seen as the first step for children after they present to their GP with mild to moderate mental health issues. It's designed as an early intervention before a child might need to be seen by a service such as the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, you know them as CAMS, which is for young people with moderate to severe mental health difficulties. So let's not forget the psychological service is seen as an early intervention, but in Dublin, some children waiting up to 13 years. So clearly it's not functioning in that way at all. We're joined on the programme now by founder of Autism Dad, John Joe McGinley. Good morning to you, John Joe. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to all your listeners, and thank you so much for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure. Right, so obviously these figures reflect on Dublin. We want to reflect, I suppose, on our own region. Anything about that surprise you, and what do you think the figures might show for families in Donegal?
Well, I was shocked when I saw the figures, but the problem is, the key thing is that this is the pathway to support, right? You don't get the support unless you get the diagnosis. You don't get the diagnosis unless you've seen the psychologist. It's a catch-22. So there are about 28,000 children now waiting for a psychological report just to get into that pathway. And as we know, with any child with additional needs, be it autism, ADHD, or even any other anxiety-related condition, the earlier you have that intervention and that treatment, the far better the outlooks are for the future. So this is, to me, a national tragedy. People have took their eye off the ball. And we've got a situation where we have the Minister for Mental Health is also the chief whip of a coalition government. And as we know, coalition governments are difficult to keep together. So we've now got a situation where one of the most important issues in our society is looked upon as a part-time job. That cannot be allowed to happen. Now, going back to your question there, I would urge the politicians to try and get the figures for Donegal, because we really have to see what is going on. And I would be surprised if they aren't high, because the key thing is here is that we've got a situation where CAMS is under-resourced, where CDNT, the Child Disability Network teams, are under-resourced, and the primary care child psychologists are under-resourced. What we're doing is we're abandoning our children, and we're taking the eye off the ball here, Greg.
Yeah, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I would have thought that we would see, you know, a significant proportion of the services available in the capital, because that's where most people live. And if we're seeing those types of delays and issues there, where arguably I would imagine there's more resources, what is the situation like in the regions?
The situation in the regions must be catastrophic, because let's face it, we fully understand that the major population is the Dublin area, so you would assume that most of the centralised resources are there. And for that to be 13 years, now the good news is that they did an update and says that the delay is now just 10 years. But hey, that's still...
What is that? What can you explain to me in real terms what that actually means, right? So a family brings a child to a GP, and it would be the GP then that would say, right, there might be mild to moderate mental health issues, which is, there's a big difference potentially with the lower end of mild and the higher end of moderate, right? And they say, right, we're going to refer you to a primary care psychological service. If you say that the delay is 10 years, well, that means there is no service there at all. I mean, what age of children are we talking about, and what age are we talking about before they even get that assessment?
Well, the key thing is that every parent has to look at with their child's on the milestones, and we're all parents, right? And we know that if their siblings, that they haven't reached the milestones that their siblings reached, that's a red flag. So you want to try and get the support. The first instance obviously has to be the GP. The GP then does the referral, and then you're into the system. The problem is that the system is a black hole. And the problem with that black hole is that that hole is getting longer and longer and longer. But what happens in reality is that parents just fight. What you do is you say, I don't care. I want to get some support. So you approach the Child Disability Network teams. You approach CAMS. There have been instances where some parents have just trooped up to accident emergency.
Like, I understand that and I support them, right? But not everyone can advocate like that. You get the impression that it could be a case that it's skewed, that the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. And what about those parents that don't have the confidence or the knowledge or what have you to pile on the pressure like that? What happens to them and their children? Like,
that's a very valid point, and that's one of the reasons that I created autismdad.ie, and that's why I've got loads of blogs on the system, which is about how you have to advocate for your child, how you can navigate the system, how you can identify those red flags that you can then approach a GP with. The problem is we need as much education as possible, and we need as much pressure as possible from our politicians to ensure that disability and mental health services aren't an afterthought. They aren't a part-time job for one TD. We've got to make sure that we put this at the core of our society. I was really pleased to see when Catherine Conley became president that she talked about the need to look after the most vulnerable in our society. And the most vulnerable in our society are our children who need these psychological support to ensure they get the pathway for services. If a child doesn't get that psychological review, they can't get into the Child Disability Network teams. They can't get their speech and language. They can't get their dietary. They can't get their physiotherapy. This is a national scandal.
But of course,
this from the rooftops to ensure that. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah, I was going to say, whilst the resources aren't there for the primary care psychological services, that ends up putting extra pressure on CAMS, which in and of itself is overwhelmed. So really, obviously, as much resources that you need to go into CAMS, but unless you also resource the primary care psychology service, you're going to have to deal with these kids one way or another, right? Potentially, you would hope. Deal with them earlier, give them the help and supports and their families earlier, and that in and of itself should then alleviate some of the pressure on CAMS, because I'm sure that's the pathway that many families have experienced.
You've identified the solution right there. It is a pathway, and the problem and the backlog is in the primary care system. That is where politicians need to take a lead. It can't just be about words, there has to be action. We have to ensure that we pile as much resources as possible into ensuring that this backlog is reduced. That will take some of the pressure off the other areas, but also within that, because it does take time, we have to ensure that there's a pathway for career development for people to become child psychologists in this country, not leaving our country, going off to Australia and to other areas. We have to educate and give them a society in which they can stay to ensure that our children receive the support that they're legally entitled to.
Yeah, because, if you're not affected by this, it sometimes can be hard to get you into the space that we're talking about. So I presume, and you can add to this, John Joe, as you wish, your child could be in distress on a daily basis. They could be struggling every single day just to have anything of a normal life. And of course, that has a great impact on parents and guardians as well. And that the idea that there's no end in sight of that goes on and on and on. And in fact, your child may disimprove, the situation gets dire, you might end up in an ED somewhere, you might end up in an emergency situation. I mean, that's a very, very stressful, very worrying way, not only for the poor child affected, but also their family to live. And that's a lived reality, I would say, for hundreds, if not thousands, of families listening to us across the Northwest this morning.
There's 28,000 children on the list. That's God knows how many families. That's siblings, that's parents, parental stress for the siblings. That has a societal effect. There is benefits for our society to fix this, because it's not just the anxiety and the mental health and the physical health of the children. It's the parents that are having the strain. It's the siblings that are part of that environment. There's a whole network of people here that need support, and it can all be solved if the government starts to put action to the words that they've put forward about action on disability and on mental health. There has to be a focus on creating a solution for this, and the solution is simple. Train more child psychologists. Look at the resources of the child psychology system that is there. If we have to get them from the private sector, get them in, because these are the most vulnerable in our society. We have a duty to these children to ensure that we create a pathway for support for them, and the initial entry into that pathway comes through the child psychologist. And without that, we are condemning children and families to years to misery, to mental health issues, to psychological issues, to physical health issues. And that, in my view, is something that this country should not stand for.
Okay, but does the waiting list need to be curated at all? Because there is an awful lot of referrals to primary care psychologists. Like, something's happened recently between 2017 and 2025, a 62% increase in the referral rate for primary care psychology. Like, what is happening there? Is there an over referral? Has there been an absolutely huge spike in children that need supports? You know, and maybe you can answer that, because you would have a better idea than I. But are we completely confident that that waiting list is full of young people that need these services, but isn't being clogged up by those that maybe shouldn't have been referred to it in the first instance? So walk me through that, because that 67% increase in 8 years, it'd be hard for any country to accommodate for that, to keep pace with that over that period of time.
There's a number of points. The first one there, yes, it would be hard for any country to deal with that, but it's even harder for Ireland because we're coming from an extremely low base because of the lack of investment in disability and mental health issues. I think a lot of these issues have been cast on from the way society is moving forward. You've got to remember, it's not just autism or ADHD, there's child anxiety, there's anorexia, so that takes in a lot of eating disorders. So there's a whole wide spectrum, and I would never dissuade any parent from avoiding going to the GP if they believed that their child had an issue that required a child psychologist.
But my point is that general practitioner is a general practitioner. Indeed. I'm not sure how much of their focus is in psychological mental health issues, but I'm looking at that 60% increase in referral rate is enough being done at GP level. As I could be a million miles off, don't get me wrong, John Joe, but
I can only speak from my own personal experience. Our GPs have been fantastic, but you've also got to take a step back, not just from the GP. The referral is to get into the pathway. Yes, GPs can help with a number of issues, and we've been beneficial in our local area in Gweedore. The GPs have helped our family, but it's also, you've got to get that referral to get onto the pathway, because the GPs are not speech and language therapists. They're not physiotherapists. They're not, well, the better word to say is a deeper psychologist when it comes to driving deep to what is the issue. Is it a diagnosis of autism? Is it ADHD? Is there anorexia or eating disorders there? So again, I think a lot of the spike, and not putting anything onto the GPs, is you've got to get people onto the pathway. And I don't think that for a country of our population that we should be that completely overwhelmed with the numbers that are there. We should have the resources. We keep talking about that our GDP is now at 9.1% and the top in Europe. We herald economic growth. But what's the point of economic growth if our society is starting to fall apart because the most vulnerable in our society are being neglected by those that are in power? We've got to start to put words with action.
Okay.
Put money where the mouth is.
Stay there, John Joe. Fiona wants to join the conversation, or I want Fiona to join the conversation. Fiona, listening to the conversation there with John Joe, what's your observation, your experience?
They haven't got a clue. Our grandson has been on the waiting list for 7 years. He has just had an autism assessment, and we have been told that they don't have an autism consultant in Donegal. So he won't be getting the help that he needs.
So Fiona, what has he been waiting 7 years for? Was it for a referral, or was it for an autism assessment?
He's been waiting for an autism assessment. They've given him all the counselling, all the breathing exercises, all that rubbish, and we've told him time after time that he hasn't got that he's got something different. And now we have got the badge for him that he has autism. We cannot still get the help because they don't have the help up in Donegal.
Right, stay there a second, Fiona. John Joe listening there. So Fiona's grandson waited 7 years. He does have autism, but there's no autism consult in Donegal?
I think what the key thing to look at this is, and firstly, Fiona, I hope your grandson's okay, and at least you're on the pathway now with that diagnosis. The key thing is to get in contact with the Child Disability Network team. Now that you've got that diagnosis, there needs to be looking at what are the key issues that surround your grandson without knowing. Could it be speech and language? Could it be physiotherapy? Is it dietary issues? And again, whilst the resources are very, very minimal within Donegal, the Child Disability Network team is the structure that's in place at the moment. I don't actually agree with the structure of the Child Disability Network teams, but that is where we are at the moment. And
so what does Fiona's family makes contact with CDNT and they say, here's our child.
Can I just
yes,
come
please,
in there,
Fiona,
please?
I'd love you to, yeah.
He has been in speech and language. He has been in psychology. He is in speech and language over in Donegal Town now. He is in the mental health team, which are absolutely fantastic. But we are being told by the mental health team, unless he has an autism consultant, we're wasting our time.
Right, but he seems to be able to access a lot of the services that I don't know. Do you understand the specifics of this case, John Joe? So Fiona's grandson seems to be getting an awful lot of supports, but there's no autism consult. Do you understand that?
Well, what normally happens is that there's a disconnect between the CDNT, the Child Disability Network teams, and CAMS. CAMS is very much looking at mental health issues, and they are reticent to take on board anybody with just a
can I just bump in there again?
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Fiona.
He is in CAMS, but CAMS haven't got an autism specialist. Until they get an autism specialist, they can't help the kids with autism.
Okay, I understand now the issue.
See, that's the catch-22. What they normally is a pushback to the Child Disability Network teams. I disagree with that, and I think it's ridiculous that CAMS can't take that on board. But that is the catch-22.
But what's Fiona's family's next step, would you say, John Joe?
But without knowing the specific circumstances, I would say that you push with CAMS, because in our own personal circumstances, we got the same feedback. And we pushed and said, that's not acceptable. We want our child.
We are in CAMS.
Yeah, I know.
We are in CAMS. Listen to me. It's CAMS that is telling us that they can do everything they can, but until there is an autism specialist in Donegal, they can't give us the correct procedures to go through for our autistic
I apologise.
grandson.
It's both my children are on the autism spectrum, and they're with CAMS, and they're being looked at. So I can't comment on without knowing the specifics of the circumstances.
Okay, yeah, because
and
Fiona,
what I could do if you want is if you could send me
off air,
Fiona's email. I'm more than happy.
If Fiona's happy with that, because Fiona, like
John
Joe's, as he referenced himself there, his own children are in CAMS. With autism diagnosis, so maybe no harm touching base, Fiona, off air, if that's okay with you. We can pass on your details. John Joe, thank you very much for your time, as always. Let's put that challenge out to a politician there. Let's get those figures for Donegal. They have it in their gift, I would imagine, to do so, so we can get a real sense of where we're at and what needs to be done. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Okay.
I can just sign off with one thing and say that if anybody's concerned that their child may have signs of autism, my latest blog on autism.ie looks at all the red flags, and then you can look at them and then take it forward. And good luck to any family.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Back with the weather.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Every year, about 2,500 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. If you're aged 58 to 70, register for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample. If you need follow-up tests, we'll let you know. Register today at bowelscreen.ie or free phone 1-800 45 45 55 from the HSE.
Every time you choose public transport, you're playing your part in reducing Ireland's transport emissions. Since 2022, the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan has introduced over 180 new or enhanced bus routes across the TFI network. 8 million journeys were made along these routes last year, connecting towns and villages near you and supporting communities across Ireland to make sustainable choices. It all adds up. Wherever you're going, your journey counts. Visit gov.ie/Your Journey Counts. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Hillary's best ever Black Friday sale is now on, and it doesn't get any better than this. With an extra 10% off absolutely everything. That's on top of up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus, control your blinds from anywhere with a half-price smart hub when you buy any electric blind, with measuring and fitting always included. And word to the window-wise, if you order your blinds and curtains now, we'll fit in time for Christmas. Book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. Conditions apply.
Winter demands more from every drive. The roads are getting darker and wetter. But in a Volvo, you'll be prepared with a complimentary full winter health check from our expert technicians. This includes a comprehensive check of your brakes, wipers, headlights, seatbelts, tires, and more. All carried out with the care and expertise you'd expect from Volvo. Stay safe this winter. Book your winter health check today at McGinley Motors. Terms and conditions apply.
The 2025 Northwest Breast Cancer Ball is on Friday, December the 5th in the Silver Tassie Hotel. It's a night of great food and entertainment with special guest Shay Given. Tickets priced just €60 are available now from the hotel reception. See Facebook or Instagram for more details. That's the Northwest Breast Cancer Ball in the Silver Tassie Hotel, Letterkenny on Friday, December the 5th. The ideal occasion for a great Christmas get-together.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, the dry and bright start will give way to cloud building early on. However, it'll stay mostly dry for the day with isolated coastal showers. Outbreaks of rain from the south will start to move in over the region late this evening. Temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees. I want to let you know on the roads that there's been a collision at Westbrook Bridge in Buncrana. Traffic is currently at a standstill, so I would avoid that area if at all possible. That is a collision at Westbrook Bridge in Buncrana. We have no details of any injuries or the extent thereof, but the important thing at this stage is just to get the traffic information out there. A caller says, I worked in CAMS as an administrator. Please don't advise people to push us. We're doing our utmost, believe us, and I do. And I understand that we have to advocate for our children as best we can, but I do, then feel for the quieter families. I wonder, are they constantly being bumped down the list? I would hope not. Greg and John Joe, what has gone wrong with society that causes 28,000 children in such a small country as mental health issues? When I was a child, mental health issues in children was extremely rare. I went through 3 different schools and I only encountered one child with autism. Well, my childhood was a nightmare, to be honest with you, and I kind of had to exist through it on my own. And I probably would want to be one of those that, had no problems in inverted commas because people didn't know about it and people didn't talk about it. Back after the news.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
It's coming up to Christmas. Is your oven on its last legs? There's no better time to upgrade with our Black November sale at Callahan's Electrical. Up to 50% off across a huge range of appliances, including built-in ovens, fridge freezers, dishwashers, hobs, chest freezers, and more. Shop now at callahanselectrical.com or in-store in our Letterkenny and Birch showrooms.
For your business, order branded diaries now at BizPrint. Call 9177955 or visit bizprint.ie. BizPrint, for all your promotional needs.
All progressive, all premium, all yours. For a limited time, experience the new 261 Audi range with exclusive upgrades during Audi All Access at your local dealership. From the all-new Audi Q3 to the unparalleled performance of the all-electric Audi A6 e-tron, every model opens up a new experience. Book a test drive today. Terms and conditions apply. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
Flying to Dublin on business? Enjoy same-day return and budget parking with convenient and affordable travel with Aer Lingus. Book your flight now and make your business trips easier. Fly Aer Lingus.
Morning to you. How are you all keeping? I hope you're very well.
Hello, darling. Hope you've started packing. Mum. We're dying to see you this Christmas. The tree's up already.
Mum, I don't know how to say this.
What's wrong, pet?
I can't come home this year. It's just too expensive.
Oh, sweetheart. We'll miss you.
Sometimes life keeps us apart. But at Highland Radio, no matter where you are in the world, this year we want to make Christmas extra special for one lucky family. We want to bring a family home for Christmas. You can nominate yourself or a loved one. Visit highlandradio.com to submit your nomination. Let's bring families together this Christmas.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Garda Commissioner Justin Kelly has promised a follow-up after concerns were raised at an Oireachtas committee about exchanges between a local councillor and a Garda superintendent in West Donegal. At the Oireachtas Committee on Justice, Home Affairs and Migration, Deputy Pearse Doherty told the Commissioner that Councillor Brian Carr had raised a series of questions about policing in Glenties and Ardra, including concerns about claims that Gardaí were forced to use their own vehicles on official business, that there was a lack of Gardaí in the area and that Gardaí were being redeployed out of the area to Ballyshannon and Donegal Town on short notice. He said the initial response was to ask about the source of the queries and the follow-up was not to comment for operational reasons. Deputy Doherty told the Commissioner this was not acceptable.
His questions reflected the consistent reports from members of the public, local representatives and community groups. The response back was to inform him of the times that the Glenty station remains open and says that none of the other questions can be answered for operational reasons. Now that is shocking.
Obviously, I'm not in a position to comment in detail about the various things other than to share your disappointment. It certainly on the face of it does not at all seem to me to reach the standard of the response that political representative should have got.
And you can hear that exchange in full on our website, highlandradio.com. The government claims its new housing plan is going to be the most unprecedented investment in housing ever. Cabinet is due to sign off on the plan this morning. It's titled Delivering Homes, Building Communities. It seeks to deliver 300,000 homes over the next 5 years. It'll also focus on helping older people downsize if that's their choice. Housing Minister James Brown says he knows many people are fed up with the current situation.
Look, I understand people's frustrations, whether it's people paying high rents, whether it's people trying to get onto that housing ladder or get a home through the local authority. Whatever it may be, they're forever home. And whether they're single people or families or older people, we want people to be safe, we want people to be secure, and I'm absolutely determined. That's why every decision I've been making for the last 8 months is about activating delivery and supporting people.
However, Berg Rogan from the Simon community feels the plan won't be radical enough.
I try to remain hopeful for the people accessing the Simon services across the country, and for anyone that's in, hidden homelessness or in insecure accommodation. There is that bit of pessimism that more could be done much, much quicker if the political bravery was there to stand up to the other lobby and interest groups.
Uisce Éireann says repairs are continuing today on what's been described as a significant burst on the trunk main from the Cranford water treatment plant. Affected areas which were without water yesterday are affected again today. Homes and businesses face another day of supply disruptions. A number of local schools, including Scoil Owen Bosch, the National School in Carrigart, and Cranford National School, are also likely to be affected. Uisce Éireann says it'll restore supplies as quickly as possible. A new €32 million project launched by Uisce Éireann and NI Water aims to address water pollution in multiple counties in the northwest, including Donegal. It marks a new cross-border approach to the issue. With more, here's Ryan Brody.
This project, supported by Peace Plus funding, has been named Water Enhancements Through Sustainable Treatments, or WEST, and has been designed to improve water quality in Lough Erne, Loch Melvin, Donegal Bay and areas in the Northwest River Basin district affected by pollution. Minister James Brown welcomed the introduction of nature-based, low-energy, sustainable wastewater treatment technologies, saying that these are common in Europe but have not been trialled on this scale in Ireland before. While the North's Infrastructure Minister Liz Kimmins highlighted how initiatives such as the West Project show the benefits of cross-border collaboration and also welcomed the Peace Plus funding toward this project.
You'll be able to fill out your next census form online. It'll be held on May 9th, 2027, ending the tradition of holding the population poll in a year ending with either a 6 or a 1. Census 2027 will also take account of where people normally live rather than where they happen to be on the night in question. And an Oireachtas committee meeting will today look at ways to limit the damage from future storms. A review into how Ireland responded to Storm Éowyn will be taking place at the Climate and Housing Committee. A number of homes were left without power for 3 weeks following the severe weather event at the start of the year. Social Democrat TD Jennifer Whitmore says the response to events like this has got to be quicker.
This is all about speed. We have to be really, really quick. When an event like Storm Éowyn happens, we have to make sure that community services, emergency services and government supports gets to the community quickly, and that didn't happen the last time.
Weather forecast for this morning: cloud building as the day goes on, but it will stay mostly dry for much of the day. Just some isolated coastal showers. Outbreaks of rain from the south will start to move in across the entire region by late evening, however. Top temperatures today 10 or 11 degrees Celsius, moderate to fresh northeasterly winds. That's Highland Radio News. Back with news again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 12th of November. The death has taken place of Pauline Nagetigan, Forker, Milford. Pauline will repose at her late residence in Milford today and tomorrow from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. House strictly private, please, at all other times. Funeral Mass on Friday morning at 11 in St John the Baptist Church, Carrigart, followed by burial in Carrigart Cemetery. Pauline's funeral Mass can be viewed on the Miva Parish Facebook page. The death has occurred of Molly Harkin, Balnaman, Clohan. Molly's remains will repose at her daughter Lavina Temple's home at Thompson Duff, Clohan, today from 12 noon until 9, and again tomorrow from 12 noon until removal at 6:15 to Our Lady of Perpetual Succour Church, Glenfin, for reception prayers at 6:45. Requiem Mass on Friday morning at 11 with burial afterwards in Kiltyvogue Cemetery, Glenfin. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. Family Flowers Only Please donations in lieu if desired to Barnesview Ward, St Joseph's Hospital, care of any family member or Marley Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Brenda McDermott, 13 Evish Square, Strabane, formerly of 325 Ballycolman Estate. Funeral from her home on Friday morning at 9:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Rory McCullough, Gorchy North, Ballindrate, Lifford, reposing at his residence today and tomorrow from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. House strictly private, please, at all other times. Funeral Mass on Friday morning at 11 in St Peter's Church, Milford. Burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Mary Catherine Blythe, née Stevenson, Holly Hill. Funeral from her home at 44 Lawson Park, Ballamagorry, on Friday at 1:30, followed by a service of thanksgiving for her life in Patrick Parish Church at 2:00, burial afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Elgin Hospital ICU, care of Mrs. Ruth Hay, funeral director. Reposing at the family home from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. today and tomorrow. The death has taken place in her 101st year of Hannah Doherty, née McCarran, Victoria Park, Manchester, and Clea Clonmany. Hannah's remains are reposing at her home in Clonmany with family time please from 10:00 tonight. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 to St Mary's Church, Clonmany for Requiem Mass at 11:00, followed by interment in the new cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Colm Campbell, Donegal Town, formerly of the Bridge Bar, Ardra. Remains reposing at Tyrconnell Funeral Home, Donegal Town today from 12 noon until 6 p.m, followed by removal to his residence in Ardescombe. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, for 11:00 Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The house is private, please. Colm's funeral mass can be viewed on mcn.live. The death has taken place of Anne John E. Gallagher, née Quinn, Key Road, Dunlow. Her remains will repose at her home today from 11 a.m. until Rosary at 8 p.m. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in St Cronus Church, Dunlow, with burial in Mahery Cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Dunlow Community Hospital. The death has taken place of Bridge Dunbar, née Gallagher, 2 Melmount Gardens, Strabane. Reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10:00. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10:00 tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has taken place of Tony Cantwell, Gort Larry, Carndonagh. Removal from his late residence this morning at 10:30, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, for 11:00 Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
We all tend to put things off, but some things are too important to leave until tomorrow, like your hormonal health and fertility. At Irish Life Health, we make it easy to start today as the first health insurer to offer access to an advanced at-home fertility check. Search Irish Life Health. A better life with Irish Life. Female fertility assessment and consultation available on all health insurance hospital plans. Terms and conditions apply. Irish Life Health DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning. Thank you so much for choosing us. It's great to have you on board. Plenty of interesting stuff for you. Stuff covers everything, doesn't it? And lots of your comments coming in on various subjects as well. Some of you motivated to text in after Fiona talked of the situation of her grandson, and some advice coming in. That lady needs an assessment of needs done to actually identify the child's needs. Another, I've been trying to get a psychiatric appointment for my child who's under 12 years old in Donegal. The system is so broken, I've waited 2 years just to be seen. It takes about 3 months of talking before I get any type of prescription to help him. The big issue there is no child psychiatrists in Donegal, and we're pushed into an already full system in Dublin. We're currently attending Dublin, and that is where those up to 13 years delays are. My child has been refused CAMS 3 times, self-harming and suicidal, seemingly not bad enough. How bad does it have to get? I'm at my wit's end. See, with texts like this, if you've any advice, please, and you understand these situations, because we are a family, right? That's the way I hope we see each other. If you can offer any help or support or advice to this person, I can't imagine what you must be going through, and I'm so sorry that the system has failed you to the point that you are at your wit's end. because it's not just your child. You're feeling every emotion and every thing that they're feeling. So just to read this text again, my child has been refused calms 3 times. They're self-harming and suicidal, but seemingly not bad enough. How bad does it have to get? How bad does it have to get? That sounds like an immediate crisis that needs immediate attention, but that child's been refused access to calms 3 times. What possibly could be going on there? What advice might you have for that listener? Public services won't accept anyone without a GP referral. Another, the GP is usually the first stage in the referral pathway. And another, primary care are overloaded with referrals because CDNT moved their workload over to them. And I'm conscious that some of these comments might be offensive to certain people working in certain areas. I'm trying to screen them, to not to remove them, but to try and acknowledge that when I can. Just some general topics right now between roads and what have you. On the issue of flooding, Greg, the council road workers should cut tablets along the road grass margins. Maybe that's a misspelling. Maybe they mean gaps. So the rainwater will run off and soak into the grass. I've got to do it myself sometimes, otherwise the roads near me would be flooded. The councilmen did it years ago, but somehow they're unable to do that work now. We pay a high car road tax and property tax to substantiate it. Again, just to be clear, we have so many roads around the county, and not everyone's every issue is going to be made known to the council. So certainly keep contacting us, but also make sure, if you haven't already, to contact the council so they know where these pinch points, or whatever you might call it, are. El Galdona Road flooded. Yes, the main road to Rafo flooded yesterday. The main road flooded above Dromahol. Flooded also at the Manor Roundabout coming from Newtown. Flooded as well. Maybe the council should do their job. End of story. Thanks, frustrated listener there, I think. In relation to the exchange rate post, it sounds like AIB quoted the wrong rate. Actually, I'll read that post and get back to that, actually, because I didn't get round to that yesterday. Is it here in front of me? Right, I'll come back to it. Good morning, Greg. I'm wondering, would you ask your listeners, would any of them happen to know a seventh son of a seventh son who would have a cure for ganglion cysts in my son's wrists? My son was operated on twice with the cysts and sacs removed, but unfortunately for him, they keep coming back. People have advised us to whack them with a Bible, but it's not an option because his wrists are tiny. I wouldn't advise that in any case. 2 of my younger siblings had the same condition, and a seventh son of the seventh son seen them once and they were cured. Unfortunately, that lovely man is no longer with us. If you could air this to your listeners, it would be much appreciated. But if not, I totally understand, because I know that you're very busy. No, it's fine for us to mention it for you. So it's a seventh son of a seventh son. Now, does a seventh son of a seventh son by default have a cure for ganglion cysts? Or does that just come with, in people's belief system, does that just come with being the seventh son of a seventh son? But anyway, listen, we always get great responses to this. So if you can help in any way, please let us know. 086 60 25,000. On the election of President Connolly, I'm very disappointed, Greg, that we as a country don't make more of an inauguration of our president. In any other country, it would be a national holiday. On the issue of flooding again, Greg, I messaged you last week about the flooding between Trenta Church and Trenta Crossroads. It is adding 3 extra miles for parents coming from Trenta Crossroads to go to Churchill Community Play School each morning, and the same for parents heading to Trenta National School from Kilmacrennan side. The flood has never went away. Water lies on the side of the road, and the road dips on both sides as there's so much traffic on the road with lorries. Councillors have been contacted about this matter, and something needs to be done, as it's costing parents extra for fuel to take their children to school and the play school. This is ongoing with the rainfall since September. So this is flooding between Trenta Church and Trenta Crossroads. I wonder, did I read that text out? It doesn't feel familiar to me. Oh, but maybe you've added more context. What is going on there? It doesn't sound like a problem that would be very difficult to resolve. You know, get a mini digger in there or something and let the water away. If it hasn't always lain there, then however it used to get away is blocked. So it can't be a tough job to go in and do that. Again, please make sure that you've contacted the council, and what that means is it strengthens our it strengthens the weight of what if we contact them then, right? And we say, listen, we know listeners have contacted you. And it's just to make them aware. It's not to try and make anyone's life any more difficult. But it's important we have these conversations, because you heard from the head of the ambulance service here that off the back of the publicity, that there was an extra focus on vehicle access, ambulance access, and all that type of stuff, right? So what we try and do here is constructive, and it does make a difference, and it does seem to influence those in positions of power. And listen, we're all drinking the same pubs, I'm sure. It's not about anyone individually. It's about collectively what we can do to do the right thing, make the right decisions, and hold people to account, etc. Right, let us take a break, and I'll be right back.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 12th of November. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €200. The reference number is S8. It's game number 46. The numbers are 67, 8, 33, 57, 7, 74, 55, 2, 5, and finally 41. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Without people like you, our efforts would fall flat. But when people like you give blood, someone in need gets a lifeline. Maybe someone just like you. We never get to choose when to need blood, but we can choose when to give. Find out how to become a donor at giveblood.ie. We count on you.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more this Christmas. Get this week's fantastic can't miss offer on tubs of Quality Street Roses, Heroes and Celebrations, any 3 for €12. Stock up with Club Orange 18 can packs, now €9. And enjoy a festive feast with our finest Irish whole leg of lamb, now half price. Helping feed your Christmas spirit. Shop in store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in most stores. Prices vary and express quotas may apply. DRS applies.
Shop Homeland's mega deals now until November 21st. Save 25% off Dulux Easy Care, Vinyl Mat and Soft Sheen 2.5 litre and 5 litre sizes. Jefferson 3 kilowatt petrol generator now €499, save €100. All this and more in store and online at homeland.ie.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Now, we are going to discuss pedestrian safety in the Milford area with a couple of guests. I'm going to say good morning first to Dr. Mohammed Moazzam Gulzar, who's a GP in the Milford Health Centre. Doctor, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having me. Thank you.
Now, a group of GPs, it doesn't happen too often, right? So I think it's significant in that a group of 6 GPs have come together calling for the urgent provision of a pedestrian footpath along the R245 between the Mulroy Woods Hotel and, I suppose you could say, Lidl in Milford. I would be on this road from time to time, and it looks perilous when people are walking up and down this road. So from your perspective, Mohammed, what are the problems? What needs to be done?
As you already mentioned, it's an issue of public safety, to be honest. So this stretch of road currently has no footpath at all. It's a single carriageway. It's a speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour, where we can imagine how fast vehicles can go. Yet it is used by the elderly residents and parents pushing prams actually on the road. And there's some international asylum seekers and protection applicants and living in Mulroy Woods Hotel. They use this road routinely. So it's just a risk for public safety, and especially during these dark, wet winter months, it's generally dangerous.
And there feels to be almost, and it's horrible to say this, Doctor, an inevitability of something, because people need to move from point A to B. Obviously, cars are going to be on the road. And as you described, it's a very dark, wet, narrow stretch of road, but it's a very significant road as well. So, as I say, it feels like if we don't do something further, something more serious is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, and to be honest, this isn't about politics or blame, or we're not trying to blame anybody. It's just raising this issue about protecting lives. A simple footpath will make Milford safer. It's a very minor thing in the bigger picture, and it's just will save life. And we don't need to wait for something tragic to happen before we act. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I mean, you are, and the other GPs are knowledgeable enough to know, we can talk about the planning process, we can talk about funding and all. We know all of that. You're accepting those things, but this is so pressing that those things need to be sped up.
Exactly. And as local GPs, we see firsthand how simple things like a small, safe footpath can make a real difference in people's life and make life safe, and there have been some work done already. We are thankful to Councillor Declan Meehan as well and others who have been working on this project. And we've been told there have been some funding approved already, but that's not enough. It's only for phase one. They need more funding for moving on further to start this project. But again, that was the reason of, pushing this again and again, to rather just waiting on all the procedural proceedings and, the meetings and everything. If this can be sped up, that would end up, saving lives. Yeah.
And Dr. Mohammed, we can talk of, there's a couple of cohorts of people here, and I'm just interested in how big the second cohort is. There are those who will need to walk into Milford or to go and do some shopping. But I'd imagine there's a chunk of people, Doctor, who are almost bound to their house, if I could put it like that, because they don't want to roll the dice of walking that road. So in other words, they don't access the outside world.
Exactly, you're right. And I would say the people who we see at the moment, some of them, I won't say all of them, but some of them are from the international protection applicants, and they don't have access. They don't have their own cars. They don't have all the time access to the public transport on that area. So they have no option to just they have to get out on the road. And the things we see which are very disturbing is we see pregnant ladies walking on the road, ladies walking with the prams, babies in the pram, and it's when we are driving on the road, it's very difficult and dangerous for the drivers as well. In these dark hours.
Yeah, for sure. And no one wants to be responsible for any injury or loss of life. Stay where you are, because you did reference Councillor Declan Meehan. He joins us on this issue as well. Declan, good morning to you. And I know, as Dr. Mohammed has pointed out, you and other councillors have, pressed the need for this footpath. It's been the subject of a few motions and what have you. So, we're pushing an open door in terms of a political will for it.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me on, Greg. I think this is a really important issue. It's one that goes back in Milford for over 30 years. This isn't a recent issue, but obviously development since maybe April 2022 has made the case for a footpath between Little and the Mulroy Woods Hotel more pressing in terms of a safety issue. Just, I suppose, it might be helpful for listeners to run through a bit of a timeline, Greg. In July 2024, the first motion I ever brought to Donegal County Council was that Donegal County Council would explore all options for funding, including the Community Recognition Fund, to fund a footpath in this place. That was passed, obviously, at municipal district level. And in June of this year, That application was made by the roads team of Donegal County Council, and they worked on a road design project for a footpath there. And in June of this year, that funding was secured under the Community Recognition Fund, and it was €125,000. And then in September of this year, the council passed planning, party planning for the project, for the entire project, which includes small kind of alterations to the junction at Little, which will make that safer as well. Basically, the hope now is that work would commence on this, Greg, in the first quarter of the new year, first quarter of 2026. But the reality that we're faced with, and this, we've had clarity from the roads team on this, that €125,000 that's been secured won't be enough to do all of it. It will be enough to do the preliminary work around the Little Junction and maybe somewhat of a footpath extension from the Mulroy Court housing estate. So there's a gap there in funding. There's more funding that we need to secure. So when you're talking about pushing against an open door in terms of political will, it's our job as councillors to ensure that we keep pushing for the rest of that funding that's needed.
And where does that funding come from? What are the funding avenues there, Declan?
That's a good question. And this is actually one of the biggest obstacles to that footpath. So when we talk about footpath funding, usually that comes through active travel from the NTA, National Transport Authority. But active travel projects are by and large only within the 50-kilometre-an-hour speed zone. And this footpath lies outside that speed zone. And so therefore, it's difficult to get funding through the regular mechanisms. And that's why I had pushed for an application to the Community Recognition Fund, because we have to think outside the box when we're looking at funding for this project. There are a number of other funds that we could potentially tap into. And one that I would be looking at the council to explore is the Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Scheme, which is ORIS. And that funds footpaths that are part of walking trails. And I think it's really important to emphasise that this, as important as this footpath is to the residents of the Mulroy Woods Hotel, this is also a key piece of infrastructure in Milford generally. There's lots of people living up in the Lag, for example, that cannot walk safely into town. Around the Mart area, you can't walk to the Mart safely with a footpath where there's other businesses, including a gym, located. So this is something that benefits the whole community. It's also an integral part of the Colmkill Trail, which is one of the most popular walking trails in Milford and indeed in this part of the county. One of the most beautiful, if I do say so myself. So again, that's why we're trying to link in with all available funding options to try and fill that gap and get more money secured so that phase 2 and hopefully a final phase could be tackled either in the latter half of 2026 or after that. My priority as a councillor for the area is to get that funding as soon as possible. And we need to look at all options to do that.
Yes, and here we are, Dr. Mohammed. We're at this point whereby we have the political will, we have a loose timeline, but we don't have time. You know, we potentially don't have time.
Yeah, exactly, as you said, Greg. So, as you said, and thankfully, Declan Meehan has been working on this already. But the problem, there are a few issues in here, as Declan Meehan said, that about that 80 kilometers per hour thing, and it won't be, we can't get the funding from that particular department, NTA. So it's, as I said earlier, there are some people. It's not about how many people are walking on the roads. You know, even one life. In terms of life, it's one life. It's not 1%. You know, it's one person. So even if one person can get hit by a car, get injured, or lose their life, that's a massive. That will have a massive impact on the whole of the community.
Yes, so, and you're right, Mohammed, and I'll bring Declan back in here. You know, unfortunately, we often say if something's not done, something could happen, but that's a really dodgy stretch, and people do have to walk it, Declan. And I just hope that we don't return to this story in the wake of a tragedy, as Dr. Mohammed quite rightly pointed out there. You know, one life altered, one life lost is one too many, and we are forewarned.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I suppose what I want to say as well is to thank Dr. Mohammed and his colleagues at Milford Health Centre for making this intervention, because it comes in a long line of representations from members of the community. This was a huge issue during the local election last year, not just in Milford, but on the doors in other towns as well, where people were referencing that stretch of road. So I want to welcome that intervention. Any interventions like this are very welcome because it builds our case for the need for funding for this stretch of road. I would hate to be coming back onto this show, Greg, to discuss, a fatality or even an injury that had taken place because that footpath was not in place. And as a result, it is a key priority of mine to get this over the line.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Declan Meehan, for joining us. I do appreciate your time this morning. And obviously, we'll pursue this with the relevant agencies as well, Doctor, to try and get some response in terms of funding and what have you, because, we're looking to be solution focused now, right? We know what the problems are, we know what the potential holdups are, but we're in the solution stage of things now at this point, or at least that's where we need to be.
Perfect. No, thank you so much. Thank you. It's just at the end of the day, it's about protecting lives and making Milford safer.
100%. Thank you so very much indeed. That was Dr. Mohammed Mozam Gulzar, who's a GP in the Milford Health Centre. And he, along with other GPs and people, I'll mention them in fact, Dr. Elizabeth Maxwell, Dr. Mona O'Boyle, Dr. Mary Sweeney, Nurse Anya Callahan, Nurse Fiona Gibbons, and Dr. Paklok Boris Chang, all of them are so concerned for people. And the concerns, just to be clear, right, because sometimes these issues can get dragged into another topic. We've been discussing concerns about safety on this road and access to that hotel and other areas long before it was used as it is being used right now. So this is an ongoing issue. But obviously there's more footfall now, potentially, shopping traffic, etc., etc. Now, there's something I wanted to mention just before the break. It's there'll be a series of masses taking place over the next wee while, but particularly on Sunday because it's a Remembrance Day. And I want to let you know that a mass for those who lost people in road traffic collisions takes place on this Sunday, the 16th of November at 11 a.m. in Christ the King Church in Gortahork. And after Mass, everyone is invited then for tea and coffee. So that's a Remembrance Mass this Sunday in Christ the King Church, Gortahork, and it's to remember those who've lost their lives in road traffic collisions. Now, Coyle's Bar and Restaurant are presenting a night of live music and dancing with the fantastic beefsteak dancers, followed by a DJ and dancing, and it's to raise money for the Newtown Cunningham CFR. So it's on November the 21st at 9 p.m. Complimentary food, which is always nice, a bit of soakage, and there's a raffle on the night and donations on the night. So that's a great night by the sounds of it. On November 21st from 9 p.m. in Coyle's Bar and Restaurant. You've got the beefsteak dancers, you've got a DJ and dancing, and you also, whilst having fun, you're raising money for the Newtown Cunningham CFR. So more than happy to mention that. How about some good news? The HSE has announced that the Finn Valley Physiotherapy Department will be relocating back to the St. Joseph's Hospital site in Stranola from Monday the 17th of November 2025. This is a story we covered way back when. And I committed to, not committed to, but I said, to the Health Minister, we send us in positive stories from the HSE as well. Often on a show like this, a lot of what's mentioned in relation to the health service is negative, but that's not an indictment of the health service as a whole or the positive experience that the majority of people actually experience in engaging with the health service. So we're pleased to welcome the return of the physiotherapy department back to St. Joseph's Hospital on Monday the 17th. And the move marks the completion of temporary arrangements put in place to facilitate essential fire safety upgrade works at the hospital. During this period, physiotherapy services were provided from alternative locations to ensure continuity of care from people living in the Finn Valley catchment area. So the return of services to St. Joseph's reflects the HSE's ongoing commitment to maintaining and enhancing local healthcare provision, and the newly prepared accommodation on the hospital campus will support the delivery of high-quality physiotherapy services to the community. Maura Gillens, the acting general manager of the primary care division, she said, "We're delighted to welcome our patients back to St. Joseph's. The new physiotherapy facilities have been carefully prepared to provide a safe, comfortable and modern environment, ensuring the highest quality care for those requiring physiotherapy services." So And by the way, the Finn Valley Physiotherapy Department at St. Joseph's Hospital can be contacted on 9189722. 9189722.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
This Christmas, don't miss the sound that makes the season magical. At Connect Hearing, we understand that hearing is more than sound, it's connection. Our expert team provides personalised hearing care, from gentle wax removal to the latest in advanced hearing aids, tailored to you, so you can enjoy every laugh, every song, every precious moment. Call Connect Hearing today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life this Christmas and beyond.
There's more to share at your Christmas party with Dunnes Stores. Mix and match 3 for 2 on a huge selection of party dishes, like our indulgent range of cheeses, and brand new options like chicken sliders, Bombay toasties, and frozen popcorn prawns or mac and cheese bites. And better yet, you can save more with your 5 off 25 voucher. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
Tá muchiiste den tauchaí, an scéim nua coigilte scoir lena gláró fordína go huaibriach ag techt go lua. Cuireann tusa airgid isteach, cuireann do ostóir airgid isteach, agus cuireann an stát breis airgid isteach ar a bhór. Bealach iontacha tá an chun airgid a hábháil do de tauchaí, agus tú ag tnú le leashaint as lucht a héir. Má tá tuile ólashuit, tuair cuairt ar gov.ie/auto-enrollment. Teachtareacht ó Rialtas na Héireann.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
Enjoy locked-in prices all winter long with the Energy Winter Price Freeze. That means no price increases, so your bills remain straightforward, reliable and predictable. Switch to Energy today and save up to €958 a year on dual fuel. Energy, you just know. Price freeze until 1st of March 2026. Energy discount variable electricity rate EAB €1398. Discount variable gas rate €1174. For T's and C's, rates and savings calculations, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers pricing may change.
Now I'm in studio with Donegal musician, Kilcar musician. Don't want to upset anyone in Kilcar. Sean Malloy. Hi, Sean.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you keeping?
Not so bad, not so bad.
Good stuff. Right now, I suppose your music comes from life experience, doesn't it? And often that is the way the best of art is, when people can sort of self-reflect or express themselves in certain way. And you were born with albinism, and you'd be legally blind. That in and of itself, obviously, navigating the world, right? Learning how to do that successfully and independently is a challenge in and of itself. But obviously, did school life tough for you?
Yeah, no, it definitely did. You know, everyone... Kids can be kids, like, you know. I look different, white hair, pale skin.
Oh, you look cool,
you
by the way, sorry.
I've seen but like when you're a kid, it doesn't seem like you're cool, you know what I mean?
I know, and I'm
not, rocking it now, you know.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm not in any way diminishing it.
No,
there's people going in to get your look, which is...
they just didn't know back then that that's the way it was going to be.
And sometimes with the young ones, you know, it's just because someone is different, and that's it. It's a lack of education, a lack of understanding, and not really understanding the impact it would be having on you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just kids don't know, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know,
and so, how did you get through school?
Oh yeah, no, I got through grand. Well, mostly. I passed the leaving cert anyway, so it wasn't too bad.
So, well, you've got one on me. I didn't. And then early, your late teens, adulthood, what was life like for you? What is life like for you?
Well, I moved to the UK when I left school, and something happened over there. That's actually the reason I wrote the song. You know, I got sexually assaulted when I was in the UK.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was rough, like, it was awful, and kind of the reason then I wrote the song was so that, like, it's not your fault. It was for me to be able to believe it. You know, I needed to believe it.
Yeah.
And then when it was wrote, I did believe it. And I can remember the day I wrote the song, literally sitting on my couch, like playing those words over and over and over and over.
It was almost like self-therapy.
Yeah, literally, you know. And then I thought, you know, I hadn't spoke about it to no one. Like, it was kind of a disaster, to be honest. But looking back, I didn't know any better, like, but didn't speak to anyone. And then eventually, when I came back up to Donegal, like, I got in with the Donegal Rape Crisis Centre. So when I wrote the song, and then when I decided I was going to release it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give the money to you guys.
So you completely internalised this experience you had, did you?
Yeah.
You like just bottled it up?
I bottled it up and
wow,
did all the negative things people do when they're bottling things up.
Yeah, well, you know, you're the victim, right? So you don't blame yourself.
Oh, no,
you had to go through something. And then being able to sort of, I suppose in the first instance, getting it out through conversation, you know, going through the writing process, that's helped you to unpack it, I suppose, and cope with it and take the blame off yourself.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So this track you're donating the money to the Donegal Rape Crisis Centre?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was important to you?
Yeah, it was very important. I genuinely don't know would I be alive still if it wasn't for them.
Yeah. And your interest in music, performing music, when did that start for you?
Oh, I started playing guitar and writing wee tunes in my bedroom when I was about 12.
Really?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well done.
And then that was sort of a hidden thing for a long time. And then I'd like I have a lot of mates who are musicians and, you know, play on gigs with people and sort of in the background, you know. This is the first thing I've actually put out, and like I'm happy with it, and I'm hoping it'll be onwards and upwards sort of thing now.
Yeah, good. And you've got a good circle around you now.
Aye, absolutely, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And music's helped in that regard.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the song "It's Not Your Fault" is it out now?
It is out, yeah.
All right, and you're going to perform it for us, are you?
I am, yeah.
Okay, and what are you accompanying yourself with? Are you a cappella or what?
I have a ukulele. So
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this. So I'm going to take a break to allow you to get that out, set up, and change tact, right, to get into the zone. So I'm going to take a break shortly to do that. But is this the start of something now that you've got this song out there, Sean, and you've got it out of you, I suppose, as well, too, because there's so much of you's in this song. What now for you in terms of performing, songwriting, etc.? What do you hope and want to do?
Well, I'm writing a lot. I've been writing a lot for years, and there's books and books and books of stuff. But I've been writing a lot, even in the process of getting that ready to be released, and I'm hoping there'll be something new soon enough, something else. And
very good. And what about performing?
Yeah, I try and get some gigs in at some point, I think. It's a wee bit complicated, but I have my hands aren't great sometimes, so I can't do a full gig on my own. But so I need to find some other mates maybe to join in with.
No problem with that. So you've had to sort of adapt a little bit with your dexterity to play the ukulele, yeah?
Yeah, just in recent time, So it's
a work in progress, like everything else.
Yeah, it's literally a work in progress.
You're saying to whomever's upstairs, you know, right, I've just got over this. What's next, son?
Really.
All right, okay. Well, listen, Sean, we'll allow you to get your stuff together, and we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and have a listen to It's Not Your Fault, and we'll talk about more where people can access it and that type of stuff. How's that?
That's perfect.
All right, we'll be back with more from Sean in 2.5 minutes.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The famous Dealer Day November is back at Irwin Expert Electrical. Every single day this month, a brand new mega deal drops. From top brand TVs to most wanted technology and gifting, you'll find unbeatable offers throughout the month in store. Don't miss out. Pop in store or follow Irwin Expert Electrical on Facebook and Instagram to catch all the deals before they're gone. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
You catch them in the corner of your eye, refusing to blend in. An electrifying presence you can't forget. The new Cooper Performance plug-in hybrid range is designed to move you further. With up to 130 kilometers of electric autonomy, you can set your course without compromise. Search Cupra plug-in hybrid today. All-electric range based on WLTP test data. Real-world driving results may vary.
Your local dealer is DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
If you have a cough, flu, sore throat, or if you're just feeling miserable, don't suffer through it. At McGee's Chemist, we have the expertise to help you feel better. Our pharmacists and experienced staff will recommend the most effective over-the-counter solutions and give advice on how best to manage your symptoms. At McGee's, we have a wide range of trusted brands and products to help you recover. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
I know what you're feeling, and I was there too. And I know you might think that there is nobody to talk to, but I promise that you're not alone. It was never your fault, and you deserve support and healing in your own time. Whenever you're ready to talk, Dublin Rape Crisis Centre will be ready to listen. Call the 24-hour national helpline on 1-800-77-8888.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, cloud will build early today. However, it'll stay mostly dry with just isolated coastal showers. Now, outbreaks of rain from the south will start to move in over the region by late evening. Temperatures 9 to 11 degrees. Now, we've been in conversation with Kilcar musician Sean Malloy, and he was talking to us about his journey to writing his debut song, It's Not Your Fault. It's a heartfelt track built around a steady ukulele rhythm. And you can hear the track in its entirety, pre-recorded with the cello in there as well. We'll talk about where you can listen to it or what have you in a moment. But performing a live version for us now is Sean Malloy. So Sean, whenever you're comfortable and ready, whenever you're ready.
All started with quite a chaotic mind. Do you recall? And yeah, it happened, but I suppose you were only small. You were a child. Only a teen making big plans like everybody else was. What were you running from? Taking your first steps in one mad world, hoping it'd be beautiful. It proved you wrong. With just another secret you gotta keep to yourself. Your brain did say. So put a smile on your face. If you can make them all laugh, everything will be okay. It takes the pain away. You weren't equipped to make that kind of decision when there's nobody on your team. You've been led to believe. And now you see them all standing there, arms wide open, guess they're not gonna leave. At least not today. Yes, 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 yes. Life can be beautiful, not all the time. Yes, 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 yes. It's not always darkness behind the rain. No, 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 no. It's not your fault. It never was. No, 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 no. It's not your fault. It never was. Not from the start. on now. It's not your fault, it never was. It's not your fault. And do you see it now? It's not your fault. And do you hear it now? It's not your fault. Do you need to hear it again? It's not your fault. So let me tell you again, it's not your fault. It never was. It's not your fault. It never was. It's not your fault. 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 It's not my fault.
Well done. Nice one, Sean. I can see where you're coming from, how it's important to you as well. Great voice, by the way.
Cheers.
Good stuff. All right. Where is the song broadly available? Or where have you posted it?
It's everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you find your music.
And your performer name is Sean Malloy as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Well, listen, well done. Not just on producing the song, but your own personal journey and getting to where you are now. And you seem happy, which is good.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your time coming over and performing live for us.
Thanks very much.
Anything you want to add? Are we good?
Can I just say, could people donate to the Donegal
Of course,
Crisis
that's what it's
Centre,
all
please?
about, isn't it? Yeah.
And play the tune as much as you can, and that also makes them money, so thanks very
That's
much.
Good stuff. Good plug. All right, thanks very much, Sean. That's Sean Malloy. Back with a few comments before the news after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This Christmas, embark on a magical journey to the wild Arctic. Meet Arctic foxes, snowy owls, reindeer, and me, Santa. I have a special gift for every child. Hop aboard Ireland's first virtual reality sleigh ride and travel around the world with me. Afterwards, make gingerbread with Mrs. Claus. To book your adventure, visit wildireland.org.
Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP is now on promotion at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags, get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP delivers frame and thrive in all ages of cattle. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
Visit Letterkenny for great shopping, food and entertainment. From family trips to big nights out, there's always something happening in Letterkenny. Brought to you by Shop LK.
Everybody has the right to be heard. If a person has a challenge with communication or decision making, there are many ways to enable their voice, such as meeting in person, using assistive technology, or together with their appointed decision supporter.
Respecting rights is a responsibility of all services, and it's the law.
My voice is my right. Assisted decision-making law means I decide.
Safeguardingday.ie from Safeguarding Ireland and the HSE.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council would like to remind residents that each and every one of us is responsible for making sure the waste materials we generate is dealt with in an environmentally friendly way. Dumping waste can contaminate land, pollute watercourses, encourage vermin, spread invasive species, and impact on human health. It's also a visual blight on our beautiful countryside. Unauthorised waste activity such as dumping and burning of waste is illegal and can lead to fines, court appearances, and in some cases, a criminal conviction. We all have a part to play. So let's work together to keep Donegal beautiful.
Yeah, strong message indeed, and lots of your messages coming in. Reef Footpaths, the people of Milford are lucky to have Declan Meehan. He does great things. As for me, I was trying to get the Galdana Road salted this last 3 years. All the school kids that go to the Deal College, Royal School, Convent Errigal, Letterkenny, St. Eunan's College, Letterkenny, could even one counsellor come on with you and tell the parents why it's not salted. That comes in from Sean. Councillor Meehan voted to dig up footpaths in Letterkenny, wasting taxpayers' hard-earned money, and now he's looking for footpaths in Milford, talking from both sides of his mouth. Well, not really, because the footpaths that are being removed in Letterkenny will be replaced by footpaths and cycle paths, but I understand the point that you're trying to make. Hi, Greg. This must mean we are never going to get a hotel back in Milford, going to be an iPass centre forever. Not necessarily, because I kind of predicted that, that this would be tied into that issue. But this is an issue that's been going on for some time, and I think whomever is the resident of that hotel, whether they're sort of paying holidaymakers into the future or at a wedding or whatever it might be, I don't know what the future is for that building, to be honest with you. Having safe access to Milford would still apply. A caller says, we've plenty of money here in Letterkenny to dig up good footpaths for stupid bicycle lanes, and we've no money to construct a new path in Milford. As usual, we have hard priorities, right? Yeah, and same electoral area as well. In relation to flooding, good morning, Greg. Good morning to you, and thanks for being so nice. In relation to roads being flooded all over the county, this is being caused by the decision to reduce hedge cutting to once a year. Hedges are now being cut in September when they're overgrown, resulting in all the cuttings falling into the drain and blocking them. Once rain falls, there's nowhere for the water to get away except on roads. I mean, have you ever seen there's videos on YouTube, they're put in there for sort of satisfying videos where there's a road is flooded or what have you, and some fella, or woman, but it's mostly a fella, goes in there with a stick and cleans away the channel for the water, and it just gushes away and leaves it clear. I think that's the problem in a lot of cases. I am not going to give a number out here, but there's someone in County Meath who is the seventh son of a seventh son. We have his name and number. I'm not reading it out because I don't know this guy, and I can't be 100% sure, but we have a name and a number here for that person who was looking for a cure. Re-ganglion cysts. The well inside Conwall Cemetery in Letterkenny cures warts. Visit 3 times. Just put the hand in the well. Leave something personal behind. My warts were gone after 2 visits, and I had them for years, but I still done the first visit. It may help.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 a.m, so it's time for a news update. And we welcome into studio once again Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Garda Commissioner Justin Kelly has promised to follow up after concerns were raised at an Oireachtas committee about exchanges between a local councillor and a Garda superintendent in West Donegal. At the Oireachtas Committee on Justice, Home Affairs and Migration, Deputy Pearse Doherty told the Commissioner that Councillor Brian Carr had raised a number of questions about policing in Glenties and Ardra, including concerns about a lack of Gardaí on the ground, Gardaí being forced to use their own vehicles on official business, and Gardaí being redeployed out of the area at short notice. He said the initial response from the superintendent was to ask about the source of the queries, and the follow-up was not to comment for operational reasons. Deputy Doherty told the Commissioner this wasn't acceptable. A West Donegal councillor says it seems fundamentally unfair that a blanket ban remains in place on building homes onto the N56, but a proposed wind farm in Dunlow may get the go-ahead. Councillor John Hamish O'Farry told a meeting of Glenties Municipal District that a delegation going to meet with the Transport Infrastructure Ireland next month must put the issue of the N56 firmly on the agenda. He told the meeting that any narrative which accommodates developers but turns away families must be challenged. A man arrested by detectives from the PSNI's Organised Crime Branch, assisted by colleagues from the Operational Support Department at a cannabis factory in Maghera-Felt, has been charged with a number of drug-related offences and is due before Derry Magistrates Court. Suspected cannabis plants with a potential street value of over £320,000 sterling were recovered following searches yesterday in Maghera-Felt and Bangor. A new €32 million project launched by Uisce Éireann and NI Water aims to address water pollution in multiple counties in the northwest, including Donegal. It marks a new cross-border approach to the issue. The initiative has been launched by Ministers Liz Kimmins and James Brown. Uisce Éireann says repairs to a burst water main in North Inishowen may cause supply disruptions to Tullyalley, Clare, Ballyratton, Glencroe, Cooley, Ballynally, Drummaweir, Greencastle and surrounding areas. A traffic management plan is in place for the duration of the works. They're scheduled to take place until 6 o'clock this evening. And it's expected people will be filling out the next census on May 9th, 2027. The form will be able to be completed online, and for the first time it'll count where people are normally resident rather than where they happen to be staying on the night. Over 4,000 people are to be recruited by the CSO to carry out the survey. And they're the headlines. Back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thanks very much indeed, and we'll be back with more the next hour, in fact, of the 9 till noon show after a break.
Welcome to the Running Man. Contestants will be hunted for 30 days. Anyone can kill you. Survive, and you will walk away with $1 billion.
From Edgar Wright, director of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and Baby Driver.
Everyone in the country is trying to murder me. That's crazy, right?
People on these games never come back. If you can survive against those goons, so can they.
Glenn Powell.
You want a show? I'll give you a show.
What's happening?
Tune in and find out.
The Running Man in cinemas now. Serve 15A.
Martin Kelly is director of Blue Bird Care. He joins me on the show now. Martin, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Greg.
Right, so the Blue Bird Care's immersive experience bus is in Letterkenny right now, actually, in fact. Just remind us, we did talk about this before, just remind us of, the experience and who it's for.
Yes, Greg. So it's the bus, it's a free event that we have today. It's on Oliver Plunkett Road in Letterkenny, just outside our offices. And basically, it's an experience when you go in. You wear glasses, you hear noises. It allows you to understand how a person with autism would feel and hear, and so it would be targeted to people who have maybe a family member with autism, or if somebody is working with somebody with autism. I did it myself there this morning, and it really is an insight now. I didn't realise there was that distorting, it was just the distortion for noise and vision and walking around and trying to find objects with these glasses on. It was, I'm sure, comical for someone to see me, but for myself it was really, really eye-opening. It was definitely, it's only a 5-minute experience, 5 or 10 minutes, and as I say, it's free, and anybody's welcome to come along, and you don't have to book it or anything. Just come along to the office here and join in.
All right, so the Blue Bird Care's immersive experience bus, it's at the Blue Bird Care's Letterkenny office. That's 21 Academy Court, Oliver Plunkett Road, and it's today
Correct.
until 4 o'clock. Just roll up there and experience it, I suppose, and improve your understanding. Martin, thank you so much for your time. That's Martin Kelly there, director of Blue Bird Care. I want to say good morning now to Laura Heaney, who's an actor and Irish news journalist. Good morning, Laura. Thanks for your time today. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
It's good. I'm good, and it's good to have you on the show. Now, you've been speaking about the underrepresentation of women and people of colour. In what space? Is it across the board, or what specifically have you been talking about, Laura?
Yes, so I took to Instagram recently, the last day, and I had put up a picture of a book called The Taoiseach. It was edited by Ian Dale and published by Swift Press, and I had heard loads about this book. It documents the 17 Taoiseach that we've had for the last 100 years, and there was loads of publicity about it. It was on all the real reputable channels, loads of podcasts and all the rest. So I was really looking forward to it, and I went in to Charlie Burns in Galway to buy it and opened the front cover and seen out of the 17 Taoiseach, they got a journalist or an expert or an author to write about each Taoiseach. So then that made for 17 contributors. And out of the 17 contributors, only 3 were women, and everyone, it was all bar 3 were just white men. So I was so disappointed then. I just didn't buy it, to be honest. I just decided against buying it. It's an expensive enough book. It was $24.50. So I said I don't want to give my money to something that's so underrepresentative of anyone but, as I said, the bar 3 white men.
And I presume, how you feel is not all based on this one singular episode in life. I presume it's an aggregate sort of an effect.
Yeah, so I then contacted Swift Press and I just was trying to learn more because obviously, like, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I thought maybe there was a reason as to why there was such a stark gap in equality and diversity. So I emailed them, and the response that I received, as you said, like, it just nearly made it worse, because the response then said that they are actually publishing another series of British prime ministers. So there's 8 books, I think, to be published within that series. And the person that responded to me said, and I don't know why he offered up this information to me, but he said that they were all men as well, and that they did try really hard, apparently, to find women or people of color, but apparently they just couldn't. And I then responded saying that I find it hard to believe that out of all the experts and authors and really willing and worthy people, the journalists that we have within the country, that they would be so, as I said, willing and worthy to write and contribute to the book, but that did not receive a response. And I also kind of pointed out that, the gap was so stark. Like, it was 20%, well, 17.56% actually, that were women, or obviously 0% people of color. And I just thought that, like, even if that was true, that it was hard to come upon people that were wanting to contribute, like, they should have just made an additional effort to bridge that gap and to not have come to the outcome that it did, of such a stark kind of inequality.
The thing is it's not just exclusive to this area of the arts. Say, for instance, in terms of the amount of films in Hollywood that are being directed by women, there was a very low representation of women after the Me Too movement. There was seemingly positive discrimination, and there was an increase, and now that's drastically fallen back to the point where women again are not being backed to tell their stories. They're not being backed on projects to make films and what have you. And there's been really high profile commentary in relation to that for me. And I think to some extent, some of the women in the media that are very traditional, if that makes sense, aren't helping the situation either. There seems to be a reversal rather than an advancement in this area.
Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of reasons, I suppose, and, like, you could strip it back in so many different ways and in so many different areas. Like, if you're even looking to go back further, obviously, like, it's historical, like, it's the representation or lack of equality, diversity, that just goes way back, and, like, it also goes back to to recent history as well. And, like, you're talking about the directors and Hollywood and all the rest, and then that goes forward to the award ceremonies and the lack of women that are represented there and recognized for their work, but it's in absolutely every single area, to be honest, of the world. And, like, what, sometimes I try and not see it and not be annoyed by it, but it really does, like, as you mentioned there, it's just omnipresent. It's everywhere. It just slaps you in the face.
Another thing too, if you don't mind me saying, I don't know if it's in the same space or what have you, but people don't seem to like confident, powerful women either. And one example of this, and you might not agree with me, is Sabrina Carpenter, for an example, right? One of the biggest artists at the moment. But, every album cover, every lyric, everything she does is scrutinized as if a pretty wee blonde thing shouldn't be doing these big, bold things, that sort of a way. And there doesn't seem to be a huge pushback on that. And I was really disappointed. There was one of her album covers, which I didn't really think was that controversial, to be honest with you. And she was in charge of what was being portrayed. But there was a pushback on it, and she changed it. And I was like, oh, really? This. I'm not blaming her, because that would be ironic, right? But it's just, fellas don't face that level of scrutiny.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what Sabrina Carpenter is doing at the minute is so smart and it's so intelligent. But people are reducing it to just, as you mentioned, like a pretty young blonde woman. But they're like, that's just silly in itself, because they're not actually recognizing what she's doing and like the movement. Yeah, that she's, because, you know, you could say, like, if you listen to the lyrics of her songs, they're just fantastic, and they're nearly like joking about this, how bad the situation is, and, you know, oh, you know, the man doesn't do any domestic labor, let's just blame his mother. Like, the people that are getting annoyed about that are just not looking into it in the way, like, they're just not understanding the what she's getting at. Like, she's just making a joke of it, and how actually obvious and blatant that it all is. And then, like, as you said there about men not facing the same scrutiny, like, you look at Taylor Swift's new album, for example, another example, and there was something about her having to go with Charlie XCX, and like, that received a completely different backlash than what male rappers would have. You know, they would have had digs at each other within their work and their art, but it received a completely different response than what it did whenever Taylor Swift and Charlie XCX did the exact same thing.
Yeah, and even there's other examples. Sydney Sweeney is a person who's very much in control of herself, and it really pees people off that, you know, that they start having to try and take her down, because it's like, well, what? You mean she's in control of what she does? And then, you know, say, for instance, Johnny Depp, for an example, and I'm not getting into the ins and outs of that trial, but even if half of what was said about him was true during that massive trial at that point, it should be end of days, right? But it wasn't. It was like, no, it was her fault. You know, he's not really to blame. It's a woman scorned. He's great. Here's a big ad. Here's a big this here. And you have to look at it objectively and say, if the shoe, look what happened to the other person in that case. They're gone. They're wiped out, right? And there's another thing, just I want to bring it back locally, Laura, if that's okay. And sorry for taking up so much of your time. I mean, obviously, the majority of people working here in news and current affairs are women. It's a mixture between, you know, on air and off air as well. But we would be very conscious of trying to make sure that there's a balance of contributors. Like, we actively are conscious in relation to that. Our Friday panel is made up of 3, and we always try and have a gender balance in there as well. And I suppose you could even bring this into local elections or general elections. Sometimes it can be difficult to find women, more so than men, that are prepared to, you know, put their views out there. Maybe it is because of the scrutiny and the abuse they might receive online or what have you. But that's something that needs to be addressed as well, because when you do make genuine efforts to try and make sure your show or your program is as balanced as possible, it can be a real struggle, Laura. That, I'm not blaming anyone, don't get me wrong, there's something wrong on a more broader scale, that women feel less inclined to put their opinions out there or put themselves out there for election or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it is so important, as you say, to have that representation and to value women's work, because otherwise it does, like, for example, that book that, you know, when I say it at this conversation, the fact that they only felt the need to have 3 women or 0 people of colour, that very much conveys a message that they do not care. They have no regard for equality, diversity, or representation. And then that is it's just a really poor reflection that they don't have value on women's and people of colour's voices and work. And then, again, to go back to that book, the fact that it's a political book, it's based on the Taoiseach, and every Taoiseach that we've had in the last 100 years, the fact that it's a political book, then you can look at the representation in politics. Like, everything's so intertwined. It's the representation in the Dáil of women is like minimal. I think it's 25%. And again, as you say, like, sometimes it is a case that women simply mightn't run. Like, there was I think there was more women that ran than, you know, other years. There was a good number of women that ran, but again, for it to only end up at 25% is a low number, like a quarter of representation, because then that falls onto decisions that are being made for the country. And there is, as you mentioned, lots of reasons that maybe women mightn't feel that they want to run, and that could go back to confidence and just living under the system that would deem women not, that they might feel themselves that they are unworthy, or comes back to meritocracy. But then you can also look at it from the other end, whereas women politicians receive disproportionate abuse and a completely different abuse to male politicians. And then you can look at social media and everything, but it is something that does need to be addressed, and it is being addressed, but obviously there's a far way to go.
Yeah, indeed. And listen, maybe those negative comments need to be ratioed. There's only so many faceless, nameless, basement dwelling characters who abuse women on social media. There's far more that respect their partners, their mothers, their sisters, So I think there's a role societally to sort of show those people up for just abusing people for the sake of abuse. I don't care what sex they are. It's completely unacceptable. Laura, listen, thanks for teasing that out with me. I do appreciate it. And we'll chat again. Look after yourself. Slán, thank you. Agus Imagine way. Right, have you any views in relation to what Laura just referenced there? 08660 25,000 WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
This year, every organisation with over 50 employees must highlight the difference in pay between men and women, the gender pay gap. Because if we highlight it, we can all work to close it. So whether you work in boardrooms, showrooms, front rooms, stock rooms, or not in rooms at all, if you have 50 or more staff, you must report it by November 30th. Let's all highlight the difference to make a difference. Visit gov.ie/gender pay gap to learn more. TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
At SuperValue, make it a Christmas with a difference. Fresh salmon darns save 33%. Stock up for Christmas with Cadbury, Nestle and Mars selection boxes, just 3 for €6. And with your Real Rewards card, get Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc 6-pack wine for only €50. Make it a Christmas with a difference at SuperValue. Please drink responsibly.
If you're considering a new Citroën car or van for 261 registration, see the full range and check out the special offers this week at Highland Motors. On display, there's the new C3 Mini SUV, the C4 and C4X family cars, and the C5 Aircross SUV, still available in diesel. Also, the just arrived and much anticipated new C5 Aircross SUV, available in hybrid and 100% electric, with a range of 680 kilometres. There's great low-rate finance, scrappage and trade-in booster offers available, so it's the perfect time to order at the Citroën Open Week until this Saturday at Highland Motors, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Would you look at that? It's 11:20. Welcome back to the show. Right. Hi, Greg. Listening to your interview about child psychologists, that's a joke, that man saying they need to start educating for more, far more. I know a person that has done 6 years at university and has come out with a first-class honours degree, has been applying for jobs this last 5 months and not a single reply. All jobs looking for someone with years of experience, has even offered to work for free to gain that experience. Still nothing. Now talking about leaving the country as there's nothing there for them. Yeah, indeed. That's water tables that person is talking about on the side of the road to let the water away. Okay, thank you for that. There just was a little bit of a mistake. Right, let's say good morning to Declan Boyle, Paul Quinn, Stephen Malloy. Good morning, lads.
Morning.
Another group of fellas getting in a car or getting on bikes. So what's wrong with you? Is it a midlife crisis? Some of you are too young for that. But it's all for a very good cause, because these gentlemen from Glenties, they're gearing up for an unforgettable road trip to Germany this November, and it's for a very important reason. It's to raise vital funds for Northwest Stop Suicide. I don't know which one of you. Declan, do you want to sort of explain why you decided to undertake this journey?
Well, I suppose it all kind of started. We lost a good friend of ours in 2021 there to suicide, and we came up with this idea just to mark his memory and just to raise funds for a needing charity. So.
Yeah, so it all aligns, doesn't it? And I'm really sorry that you lost Kevin. And it's difficult all the time, but anniversaries are particularly difficult. But I presume, Paul, as well, this trip is to honour his memory as well as raise awareness and to raise funds.
Yeah, definitely. It's in his memory, and he always was into the cars with us, putting about at them and working on them, and he always had a few events and Toyotas lying about, so it ties back to him in that sense too. So, and his name's going to be on the 3 cars, and we've got great sponsorship so far, so everybody really got behind us, and it helps that we have a name on the name to go put it to as well. So
yeah, for sure. The crew in total is Declan Boyle, Conor Quinn, Paul Quinn, Conal McDevitt, Ryan Hunter, Stephen Malloy, Liam McGeehan and James McDyer. Stephen, tell us about the journey, because it's got a definitive start, Glentees, and that sort of racing end to it as well. Actually, I can't hear you. I'm going to throw that one over to Declan. It's just the way it's. All right, go on, Stephen. Go ahead.
We're leaving at 5:30 on Friday morning. To Dublin. And put our down the door. You're home.
Yeah, I'm Stephen. It's not your fault. It's literally just the way Zoom works sometimes, and you're just a little bit far away. So I don't know, Paul or Declan. Do you want us to run us through what the plan is from Friday? It's not Stephen's fault. It's just the way Zoom works.
On Friday morning at probably 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, to head for Dublin. Get the boat then across to Holyhead. And we have a 5.5 or 6 hour journey down to, we're staying in McCafferty's in Milford that night. Getting up then pretty early. We're gonna be leaving fairly early in the morning to be heading for Dover to get the Channel Tunnel across. We have another 5.5 to 6 hour trip from France to the Northern Ring, which is the world. That's probably the reason that we picked that to go there, is because it is the longest track. We'll do whatever we need to do, go get around the track and stuff like that ourselves in the 3 Toyotas, and head back to try and get back to England that night. It'll be a big ask, but we're going to try and do it. And then it'll be Sunday, then get the boat across in from Holyhead again, and try and be back in Glenties between 10 or 11 that night. So.
Okay, well, listen, have a very safe trip. It's a lovely thing for a group of lads to do for a fantastic reason. It's to raise vital funds for Northwest Stop Suicide. I suppose it's to get us to talk about mental health, and also it's to pay tribute to the lad's late friend, Kevin Quinn. Now, you can donate by going to GoFundMe and searching Gear Up for Minds and support the lads. Or you can, of course, donate before they leave, or if you see them on the way. Listen, we'll have to leave it there because of the sound issues. Thank you very much indeed. That's Declan Boyle, Paul Quinn, Stephen Malloy. So search out gofundme.com/F/Gear Up for Minds. And you can honour Kevin and recognise the efforts of the lads. Apparently, they may be taking some inspiration from Lee Gooch, Dennis Ferry and Leslie O'Donnell, their recent 1,000 kilometre trips. They leave on November 14th, drive all the way over. They've got 3 Toyota Avensis cars, very reliable actually, has to be said. They're going to arrive at the Nuremberg Ring on Sunday the 16th and then make their way back to being Glenties for, was it Sunday night? What a trip. Okay, support them if you can. Back with more shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
New season of fabrics have arrived in store at Fabric World Maydown. On trend and in stock, we have all the fabrics you need. Thousands of curtains, upholstery and craft fabrics at incredible stock prices. Call in for your free curtain design and quotation at Fabric World Derry. Great Euro rates for all our Euro customers.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked, served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken, plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8 and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Us pigeons see everything when we're flapping around up here. Well, almost everything. See, burning certain fuels releases invisible toxic pollutants, which can trigger asthma and lead to serious illness. So, if you're going to light a fire in your home, make sure to use low smoke fuel. Oh, and never wing it burning rubbish.
Choosing low smoke fuel is better for all of us. Let's clear the air for everyone. And remember to clean chimneys and heating appliances at least once a year. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
And we're in studio now with Chris Ashmore with some business news. Looking forward to the Business Matters podcast, which is due. Well, you can stream it shortly and on air on Sunday. Chris, good morning, good afternoon, good morning to you. It is good morning, good morning.
Still is, yes, half an hour or so left.
Right, let's get through some news here. Lead to Grow, what is this?
Now, this is a pilot program. It's designed to help businesses in the Northwest to basically scale up their business, and there's a number of partners on board. There's going to be 14 businesses from Donegal and Derry and Strabane, and they will benefit from having access to world-class academics and industry experts, and they're going to be involved. It's tied in with the Golden Bridges project in Boston. So, look, it's a chance for these firms to possibly expand into the United States market and dealing with people in their respective fields. So a good development. It is a pilot project, but no doubt if it goes well, we'll see more of it in the future.
Fingers crossed. We often talk about business supports. The local enterprise office always there as well, of course.
Well, just to let people know, there'll be a virtual clinic on Friday of this week with the local enterprise office. So if you go onto their website, you'll find the details there on that. And there's an in-person session on November the 28th in Stranorlar, if that is of interest to you. It's a great way just to find out what supports are out there, what grants and what help.
Now, go visit Donegal. They've rejigged their website, or they're going to?
Yeah, they're developing a new website. Now, Go Visit Donegal has been a big success. It's continuing to grow. Look, no matter what sort of business you're in, no harm in having a link in on the website. It has around 30,000 followers at the moment, and is continuing to expand, and the council very much involved with it, and they're going to go live shortly with a new test version. It may, at the moment, with a view to launching it, this new look website in January.
All right, exciting, and it's their current website's really good, so it'll be interesting to see how they move on from there. And there was tons of glitz and glamour on Friday night.
Yes, indeed. The Letterkenny Chamber Awards were held. A big occasion. Now, there's numerous awards, so we're not going to go through them all, but if you want to go on to the Chamber Facebook page or other social media platforms, you'll have seen it in the local media as well. Business Persons of the Year, John Clive and Caroline Alcorn. Alcorn's Flowers, well-established business, known by many people.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see them get the recognition, because any interaction I've had with them, it's always been a pleasure. Visiting the... It's not a zoo. What would you call it? What is it again?
The tropical
world.
land.
Yeah,
tropical
love
world,
that. I have
yeah.
to go back actually with Hudson. When we brought them the first time, it was, but it was just a much more personal experience than like Belfast Zoo. Do you know that sort of a way?
Absolutely.
Because it's up close and personal. And to be honest with you, I don't really want to see big animals looking dead up against the wall. I just felt Tropical World was more interactive, and you got that whole sort of experience. And any time any dealings I had with Alcorn Flowers, what have you, it's good. So the reason I'm saying it, there's absolutely nothing in it for me. I'm just very pleased that it was they this time that got that recognition that they really deserve.
Yeah, long-established family business. They've moved with the times. They've expanded over the years. Great place to go to get a bit of lunch as well up there. And
who brought Caroline? Where's that food that came in the other day from? Where was that from? All right, it was Alcorn's as well. They drop food in here, and I'll tell you one thing: it was delicious.
So look,
all over the place. Go on anyway.
Yeah. So indeed, well done to them, and certainly when it comes to the flower side of things and hedges, plants, shrubs, whatever you want. Expert advice at friendly service, and they know what they're talking about. And
they're on that. If you're looking for them, they're on the Letterkenny bypass.
Yes. And also, just to pick out one other particular winner, the Hall of Fame, Ewan and Rachel McIntyre of Max Deli. Now, I remember when Ewan started up in a small unit, just basically a couple of yards from where he is now, and from day one, he made a great sandwich, and look where he is now.
Still banging out the sandwiches and the soup and everything else as well.
Very popular location.
Yeah, and it feels very down to earth as well. If you know who are they? Brilliant. Okay, we have them in studio tomorrow to chat about the early beginnings of that business. So looking forward to that. Right. So let's move on to the content of the podcast. As I say, available for you to listen on demand. From today, but also it'll be played for you out in the radio on Sunday. What's the show about today? Letterkenny Chamber feature again, do they?
Yeah, well, recently Línra Letterkenny, which promotes the use of the Irish language, Línra meaning network, and Letterkenny Chamber, they came together to host a Give It a Go Oscoiliga business breakfast event. It was held down in Kernan's Bistro and Coffee House in the retail park, and part of the morning was to learn what they've done in Galway, which has got, since 2016, it has bilingual status. And Letterkenny is a Gaeltacht service town, so we have a Gaeltacht on the outskirts of, different parts of Donegal, people coming in, and there's definitely a push on to get the language used more, and there is a benefit for business. So at the event, Barbara Ichachel of Línra Letterkenny, she spoke about how they're helping to promote the Irish language through business. We also heard from Bríd Ní Connolly of Gallup le Gaeilge in Galway. And there was a Polish woman, Joanna Czechka, who came to Ireland, no Irish background at all. She has a very successful company with Irish-themed socks and uses the Irish language extensively as part of her business. But we have a couple of clips. Greg, the first one is here with Barbara Ichachel of Línra Letterkenny, and she's just explaining how research has shown that by using Irish in your business, there really is a dividend.
Research has shown that whenever people see Irish on branding and packaging, they have almost like a gut level reaction of presuming that this is a quality product, this has good provenance, and this is trustworthy. And the research that was done a couple of years ago by the Amara Research Agency showed that people were actually prepared to pay slightly more for a product that had Irish on it because they trusted the provenance of it. And it didn't matter whether these were people who were fluent speakers or learners or really had very little at all. There was a very strong, positive, almost gut level connection of positivity towards the Irish language. And we've seen that around the town. You know, people that have businesses that have taken on the Irish language can absolutely confirm that it has brought nothing but positivity to them.
All right, Barbara Cahill there. Always enjoy her on this programme as well. Very passionate about the language, and that's what you need. Your second guest, Chris, your second clip, sorry.
Well, the second clip is also from Barbara. Now, why I picked this one out, we're going to hear about a term called linguistic seed bombing. Now, she's going to explain what exactly that is.
You know, when we look at what we're trying to do as a Baile Service Gaeltachta or a Gaeltacht service town, what is really the aim? And I came across a great phrase recently, and it's linguistic seed bombing. So in the same way that you might see a field that is just grass, nothing but grass, and it's a bit boring. And if you cast wildflower seed bombs around it, you will not only make it more beautiful, but you'll make it more sustainable, better for the environment, you know, better for the insects and the bees and all the rest of it. And in a sense, what we are trying to do with the Irish language, it's not that we think we're going to turn Letterkenny into a Gaeltacht, but we are trying to change the landscape. And so if we can scatter Irish throughout this town and give people opportunities throughout this town to speak Irish, then we are changing the landscape in a very positive and energising way. And it can only be good for Letterkenny. You know, if people come to think of Letterkenny as a place where they know they'll hear Irish, where they know they will see Irish on signage, where they'll have the opportunity to go in and speak Irish, then it's a win-win-win all the way for local people, for visitors, for tourists, for businesses, for communities, for kids who are doing Irish at school and they see it as a living language around them. There isn't a downside.
Yeah, there isn't one. So the full interview available in the podcast, and what else is on it? That's the focus of it.
Yeah,
Chris,
it's an Irish language special, and just here in the town, and it was. People may see them if you go into a lot of shops and cafes and restaurants at the moment. There's these little phrase cards. You can pick them up, and that encourages you to use them. There's even beer mats out now around the town that have a bit of Irish on them as well. So lots happening, and a case of watch this space.
Okay, available for you to listen on demand from today and on Sunday from 6. Chris, if anyone wants to get in contact with you for whatever reason it might be, what's your personal mobile phone number?
No, you'll find that if I get back to you. Email's best in this regard. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Thanks, Chris. And Chris will be back with us next Wednesday. And a lot of love coming in for some of those Chamber Award winners. Our children always go to Tropical World. It's a fantastic place, and the prices aren't through the roof either. Congratulations to them and their staff. Indeed, I couldn't endorse that enough. And there's loads of other places that I can't think off the top of my head. And sometimes you think if you're getting in the car and you're travelling somewhere for an hour and a half that you're going to get a better experience. And what you don't want to do is overlook the amazing stuff that's there right on your doorstep. And that would be amongst them there. Right, a caller says, I changed €420 to sterling in a bureau de change. The rate was 1.2048, giving me a sterling total of 348.61. This is a ridiculous rate. I checked with AIB, and to change €420, I would get £369.85, a difference of over 20 sterling. The euro has been stronger this past few weeks, so why are we being ripped off with you bureau de change? I know there'll be small differences, but £20 sterling is too much. Are they governed by any financial body? I don't know, but listen, I mean, maybe there are reasons as to why you might change money. I don't know what they are, to be honest with you. If I go on holidays, I will transfer money into my Revolut card, and whatever you pay for there with that card, for an example, and there are many other cards that offer the same service, it's whatever the rate is at that moment. Like the idea of me paying someone to change money, I don't understand it. To be honest with you, but maybe there's reasons. Maybe it's a cash present for a wedding or something along those lines. But would you not go and just take the money out of the ATM and then you're paying exactly what the rate is at that time? For me, I never got the concept, and I'm open to education, I never got the concept of paying money for money to be changed from one money into another. But people must do it for certain reasons. A caller says, I'd like to bring to your attention and your listeners that there's been no water in the village of Glen and surrounding areas since Sunday evening. We've received numerous messages from Irish Water that it would be restored at certain times, but this hasn't happened, unfortunately. In this day and age, it's ridiculous. How long does it take to do maintenance work? Nearly 3 days now. Apparently, it's coming on at midnight, but wouldn't take that as gospel. Maybe you bringing this to light, they might get their finger out. Well, Anne, thank you for that. I wonder, is this connected to the major outage that's ongoing at the moment? And I do know it's a significant outage, and the teams were out at first light this morning. They were hoping to get it fixed yesterday, but it's ran on until today, and it's affected schools and Neeners and what have you that have had to close. So, I mean, obviously, Glen very close to Carragard. Is this a different problem? I'll have to double check that, but I do know that the problem that's caused outages elsewhere is very significant, and they are trying to fix it. Sorry, back in relation to the exchange rate post, it sounds like AIB quoted the wrong rate, as the higher amount works out at 113, which is the sterling to euro rate. 120 is about right for changing euro to sterling. Okay, I don't know what the story is there. Do you remember the message we got about someone bought bacon? I'll read the message again. My daughter bought bacon on the 1st of November, and the use-by date was on the packet for 6th of November. It was opened on the 3rd and stank. Now, the manager replaced it in the shop because they're good customers, but he said to them that, look, we can't guarantee that the cold chain wasn't broken, so we're not actually obliged to refund you. So a caller says, what's the law? Does this stretch as far as milk, etc.? So we thought, listen, we promised to get answers to questions. Let's blow and well get an answer to this one. So a caller says, the Consumer Protection Commission says, when a consumer buys a product, it must be fit for purpose. If a food product smells off before its expiry date, then it's not fit for purpose. This means a consumer can return the product to the retailer where they bought it and receive a refund or a replacement. Repair is also a available remedy, but clearly it wouldn't be appropriate for food. The retailer can require proof of purchase. If a consumer does not have a receipt, they may be able to use a bank statement instead. The relevant authority for consumer interests in food safety is the FSAI, and that would be a good place to answer any specific questions. But anyway, we've got the specific answer to that question. And it's as I suspected. Of course, whoever you bought that off has to replace it. So this nonsense about cold chains is nonsense. Don't take that. On footpaths, Greg, I travel the Ballagher Road every evening. A new estate was built recently called Mullach Ban. There's a gap from the main area to it, which has no footpath or streetlights, and it's an accident waiting to happen. These new estates should not be given planning unless footpaths and lighting is included in the project. Why do we always wait for something to happen before action is taken? That comes in from Margaret. I don't know, Margaret. I really don't. But I agree, really. The infrastructure should be part of the development. Ree St. Joseph's just ringing in to say it's great news for Ballybofane, Strannolar, Glenfin and around Killygordon, Castlefin and Lifford and Finn Valley, Convoy, Rafo. Great about the physio back at St. Joseph's Hospital in Strannolar. Hoping more services will come back to St. Joseph's. Thanking all the committee at the hospital indeed. On the issue of flooding, hey Greg, thank you for mentioning about Trenta Church where the road is flooded all the time. In fact, this last 30 years or more, when we get a lot of rain, I did text you last week. I've spoken to 2 councillors and they said they'd bring this to a meeting, but nothing's been done. We can't get to church. Well, listen, please. I do know there are certain arms of the council that do listen to us. People in the Trent area, they're being inconvenienced in getting to church, getting to school, and all that type of stuff. I hope it's not a massive job, but is there any way someone could come out and see if this flooding could be cleared? Because it's a huge inconvenience for the local area, and it would mean so much to them if that was done, I'm sure.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Wrap up some Donegal love this Christmas with thoughtful, sustainable gifts made by the Donegal designer makers. Join us for our annual Christmas fair in Rathmullen House this Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. A weekend of festive food, drinks and stress-free gift shopping.
How are you, Louise? I'm really busy. I'm hoping it won't be like last year when we had flu in our house. I had to take so much time off work.
I took the kids to the pharmacy last year for the free flu vaccine. It's just a simple nasal spray to protect us.
Great idea. I'll book mine in.
Quick and easy. The nasal flu vaccine is free for all children 2 to 17 years old. If nasal spray isn't suitable, an alternative is available. Visit ipu.ie for more information. Brought to you by the Irish Pharmacy Union. Kindly supported by AstraZeneca.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
With TUI, there's more choice than you think. Beach days or a city break. Weekend in Rome? Booked. Fly from your local airport? Of course. Just a hotel? Got them too. Number of nights? Take your pick. Tailor your trip with more options and more choice. TUI. Live happy.
It all starts with choosing food with the Board Bia quality mark. And from there, it grows. From your basket to farms across the land, you support over 60,000 farmers and producers committed to Board Bia's highest quality and sustainability standards. So every time you choose the Board Bia quality mark, you bring quality assured food to your table and make a real difference to those who produce it. Make your mark. Always choose food with the Board Bia quality mark.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Dry and bright start. Cloud will build early on, however. It'll stay mostly dry for the day with just isolated showers, except potentially some outbreaks along the coast. Temperatures 10 to 11 degrees. Gary Murphy is Professor of Politics at Dublin City University and has kindly joined us this morning. Gary, good morning to you.
Hi Greg, how are you?
I'm good. And we're talking in the context of President Catherine Connolly. And I suppose there's a lot of the talk about her election has been the significance of a left alliance rather than necessarily, what the next 7 years might hold. But I suppose we have to put it into context, what she can and can't do. She has a voice clearly, but she has very little power.
Yeah, there are two ways, I think, of looking at the presidency. One is it does have certain hard powers. One is in terms of dissolving the Dáil, and the second, and maybe the more used one, is certainly the idea of referring bills to the Supreme Court. But we must look at Michael D. Higgins, for instance, after a 14-year presidency, which I think all of your listeners would agree has been pretty successful. He only referred one bill to the court in the course of his 14 years in office. So what was he good at? He was good at projecting a voice for causes he believed in, and I think Catherine Connolly will do something similar. I thought her speech yesterday was perhaps more political than might have been expected, and I think more political than any of her predecessors. She went so far as to even to use the word left, which I think is certainly a first time in presidential inaugurations, when she said that we were seen as too left. But certainly whether she can be the catalyst for change, that she also mentioned in her speech, I think is far more doubtful. And I only say that because if you look at the issues Michael D. Higgins was passionate about and spoke with great clarity and vigour about things like the housing crisis, neutrality, foreign affairs, things like Catherine Connolly is interested in. Well, the state's policy and all these things remains pretty much the same, notwithstanding the president's eloquence on occasions. And I think this is the danger that Catherine Connolly will. I think danger is probably too strong a word, but this is the issue I think she will face. She could be hamstrung as a very political person in an office which has very little political power.
But is the truth not really now that Catherine Connolly sort of retreats into the shadows to some extent, as presidents might tend to do, host events at the Iris, go out and shake hands at football matches, maybe release the odd statement, but for the most part aren't necessarily part of the political fabric in everyday life?
Well, I think that's how maybe the public would see it, but I think she might see it as a completely different issue and a different thing. I think she is quite overtly political. and more so perhaps than even Michael D. Higgins was. Now, the difference I see between Catherine Connolly and Michael D. Higgins, of course, he had been in government. He understood the sort of the nuances and complexities of it, and maybe the limitations of what he could do, either both in government and then as president. But judging from Catherine Connolly's comments yesterday, I think she is determined that her views should at least be listened to by the government of the day. And we know what happens here. The Taoiseach meets with her, meets with the president usually once a month over a working dinner. It can be more, of course, it can be less. We famously had the example of Liam Cosgrave not wanting to speak to President Childers at all, very rarely. But I do think on those occasions, Greg, we can probably expect that Catherine Connolly will be very political. But whether Micheál Martin and later we assume Simon Harris will actually listen to her is another issue. So I think she would see herself very much in the role of being an activist president.
Yeah, I think though the public can, and I mean obviously you could correct me if I'm wrong, should prepare themselves for the big out in terms of referring bills. And I have a suspicion it will be used quite a bit maybe during Miss Connolly's or President Connolly's presidency, in that it's not always a good thing. So if the government passes a bill which you don't like, you refer it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, if they find in favour of that bill, it locks it in. It's unchallengeable into the future, right? So that's often the out, right? Whereas you can challenge it here or you can challenge it there, but you could be doing the government's work by sort of locking it in that way. And I suspect this will be something we'll be hearing over the next while. I would love to, but actually it would be counterintuitive to do so. And that one bit of power that is there becomes almost moot. Have I framed that incorrectly, or how do you see it?
No, you're quite right in terms of the mechanics of it. If a bill is referred to the Supreme Court and then the Supreme Court finds that bill in accordance with the Constitution, then it can never be challenged again. And so that's why perhaps the power is rarely used, and certainly, as we said, only once in Michael D. Higgins' long tenure. So there's been a lot of talk about the triple lock, and we know Catherine Connolly is very much opposed to the government's plans to basically get rid of
on that actual one. She was on this show in the lead up to the presidency, and for the exact reasons I've just outlined, she said she would, or indicated she'd be very hesitant to refer it to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, because I think it would be seen as probably an overtly political act. So basically how these things are supposed to work is she is going to announce her Council of State over the course of the next few weeks. We expect when she can bring on 7 members of the public to that body. It also then has former Taoiseach on it, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Clerk of the Dáil, etc. And the idea of the Council of State is to offer the President advice. And then the president makes up her mind, in this case, of what she wants to do. Now, and Michael D. Higgins, I remember in the 2018, you probably remember this, in the 2018 general election, refused to do a number of debates, both nationally and locally, because he claimed he was too busy looking at and examining legislation and deciding whether he should or should not sign it. Now, some political pundits took this with a bit of a grain of salt, and President Higgins in his re-election wanted to appear a little bit above all the other candidates, and maybe that's his prerogative as president. But he did take that job, I think, very seriously, and perhaps it was because he was actually, as I said, a government minister, that he very rare or only use that power on one particular occasion.
But just one final question, if you don't mind, before we wrap up. The president has to have a working relationship with the government, though, do they not? In that you can't become sort of like an opposition politician in the role of presidency. It has to be a working relationship with, the government supporting the president, or not?
Well, I think you do have to have a working relationship, but just on the history stuff, I mean, certainly Mary Robinson and Charlie Haughey had a very touchy relationship in the first year of their particular relationship, when the Haughey government refused to leave her go to London to give the Dimbleby lecture. And basically they told the president she could not leave the state. And now things definitely got better when Albert Reynolds took over, but there was a very hostile and cold atmosphere. And when I was working on my Haughey biography, I was looking at all these kind of issues. And I think he was pretty sore over losing the 90 election. election and never quite got over it. I would expect things to be slightly different because we have different characters. But I think the meetings between Catherine Connolly and Micheál Martin will probably be more overtly political than maybe the Taoiseach of the day wants to do it. But one of the things I would say, if you look at the Higgins presidency, the government gave him, and he was involved in 4 governments, gave him a lot of leeway. And it was only at the end when he said that maybe it's time that the United States and Israel are basically kicked out of the United Nations for enabling the genocide in Gaza that the government said this is not our policy. And maybe we might see a little bit more of that, Greg, than we are used to. So I wouldn't say turbulent times ahead, but perhaps tumultuous times ahead.
Lovely stuff, Gary. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. That's where we leave it today. Back tomorrow morning at 9. Stay safe.